Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We hope you're keeping very, very safe and well. What a time to be a Spurs fan. What a game we've just witnessed. If you're listening to the show for the first time, you can find us on iTunes. We're on Spotify. We're on Audio Boom. We're across a range of different audio platforms. We're, of course, on Twitter at Last Word on Spurs. We're on Facebook and Instagram too. And here we are, Tottenham Hotspur, with a massive 5-1 win against Newcastle United. Who saw that coming? Ben Davies, Emerson Royale on the score sheet. We're it all to come on this brilliant show. Crackers can't believe it. He's almost defeated and gone off. We will bring Crackers back in a second wherever he's gone. But please be welcoming a debutant to the Last Word on Spurs. But first up, back, great to have him on the show. We've got the brilliant Jah Wobble in the house. Jah, how are you? Lovely to have you here.
Very happy. Just got back from the game. It's too difficult. So many people attend the games there now. It's so slow to get away. I couldn't even get into Seven Sisters Station because of the queue. So I went back, jumped on at South Tottenham, went across and got an Uber with me boys. Anyway, I'm very, very happy. I thought it was a fantastic. Newcastle are a different proposition to what they were at the start of the season, obviously, with how they were very compact, didn't give much away. And I was very concerned when I think it was Son gave away the silly free kick. He wrapped his leg around a guy, didn't need to. And we come back. I mean, Son actually did that run. Doherty sent him through. We won a corner, and from the corner we ended up scoring when it come back out to Son. And we that's what winning teams do. They go a goal down, but they actually they went up a gear when they went a goal down rather than the heads dropping. They look to have really bought into Conte's system, and they listen to the instructions. So like well-drilled soldiers under pressure, they still do what they've been taught to do, passing it out from the back much better than they were at the beginning of his tenure. So I'm very happy. I mean, I didn't see that was going to be 5-1 today. I thought it'd be a tight game. We'd edge it 2-1. You know, that kind of score, 3-2.
Yeah.
Defensively, I don't think they had a shot that I can remember, really, apart from the goal, from the free kick, which Lloris could have done better with, but whatever. Took a slight deflection, maybe he was unsighted, but you'd expect him to save it. But I don't think he didn't make a great save. They didn't. I didn't see them really trouble us. They never made any chances. So defensively as a unit, superb. I'm very, very happy.
Oh, man, it's great to have a Jah Wobble very, very happening. I think, Jah, last time we had you on, I think it was for a defeat, which has been for many this season. I know, Jah, you've been very busy, apart from the football as well. We're going to come on to that throughout the show. Brilliant to have Jah Wobble back on the Last One on Spurs with a win, isn't it? Fantastic. Joining Jah tonight, brilliant to have this man back on the show. Listen, when you know analogies for that, it was a wonderful performance. I'm sure there'll be analogies to come. He couldn't believe the result. He went off. He's back again. We've got the wonderful Richard Cracknell in the house. Rich, how are you?
I'm very well, Rick, and evening, everyone. Apologies if I'm a little bit in and out, but I'm currently living in Westminster. I'm normally in Lanzarote, but I'm over in the country at the moment. And if I look out my bedroom window, I can see MI5. So since things have got a little bit upside down in certain parts of the world, the 4G and internet can be a little bit sketchy around here. I think they're putting out blocking signals. So I'll be with you when I can and not when I'm not. But no, listen, what a day. What a day today. Rick, I'm 52 years old, and I've been on this earth, and I saw Glenn Hoddle play football. I've seen David Bowie sing songs. I've seen Jah Wobble play bass, and I've seen Cuti Romero play at the back for Spurs. That's how good he was today.
Yeah.
It was amazing, wasn't it? What a great day. What a great result. There's already so much love in the comments for this lady that we've got on tonight making a debut. So brilliant. Finally to welcome long-awaited debutant. We've got Tanya Leona joining us. Tans, how are you? Lovely to have you on making your debut with us tonight.
Oh, yeah, honestly, I'm absolutely buzzing to be here, especially after a massive win. I mean, I couldn't agree more with what everyone has said. I didn't go into this thinking we'd win 5-1. I mean, massive result. I thought Newcastle would make it difficult for us, but they surprised me. I thought they were quite open, especially in the second half. But yeah, I'm really excited to get into this one. Some very good standout performances. I mean, Kulusevski and Bentancur. Oh, I just want to rant and rave about them all night because they've just been brilliant for us. But yeah, so many standouts and yeah, good performance all round.
Yeah, they have indeed. I'm getting Ben Davies ran down my throat as to how good Ben Davies is right now. And for me, calling him 6 out of 10, I mean, I might have to revise that very, very quickly. But listen, all the performances today from the players were superb. I must apologise for my voice. well, for Jah, you doesn't have to worry. It won't be Rod Stewart just yet for me, but there's a slight tinge to my voice. Suffering from a bit of a cold, but here we are. Means go on. Spurs winning 5-1. So how can you pass up the opportunity to come on here and talk about Spurs winning in that manner, 5-1? Jah, let's kick off the show with you. Because I think the show, we got so excited. My social editor forgot to put out the question tweet for them to put their questions in. But what questions can there be after Spurs won in such comprehensive fashion? 5-1 win against Newcastle. It feels like, Jah, as you said in your opening line there, a real statement from Spurs. It's 5 wins from 6. We're now into the top 4 for the first time since September. And Arsenal now under massive pressure when they visit Palace tomorrow. Thoughts on the overall performance for you, Jah?
Well, yeah, collectively they were great. Individually they were great. St. Maximum's a real threat, but every time Romero went near him, he's just so aggressive in a good way. Played him so well, so he pushed him out really wide and completely nullified him in the end. And in the end, he was just running into blind alleys. And he's their best player. I'd rather have him, St. Maximum, in our team than Toure. By the way, he's a really good player. But today played him really well. Very good. And whatever you say about, you might think this is mad. 5 wins out of 6 and the way they're playing, that's not top 4 form. That's league winning form. Too late to win the league this season, but that's league winning form. That augurs very well for next season if Conte's there. Let's pray that he is. So it was a very solid, the one slight negative is Romero, but I think he'll get there. It annoys me, modern fans, they get on the backs of players. You don't know what goes on the training ground. Confidence is such a big factor. And I think Romero will probably come good. And he scored a goal today, and he was so happy. That was really good. But it was just a little bit weak sometimes. There's instances in games when he's got the time to bring the ball down, and he doesn't. He heads it, and the header isn't great. Against top teams, it would worry me still with Romero, Emerson, Emerson Royale. Not Emerson. Sorry, you must think I'm mad. Emerson, not Romero, sorry. You must have been thinking, what the hell was he talking about? And sometimes when he's making, he's not quite... He does mean
Royale, don't panic.
Yeah. He does. Sometimes making those runs in, you just think to be a bit more committed to get to the far post, to attack that far post. And he's a bit tentative. He's a little bit, he gave the ball away just before half time. We were in a promising position out wide. But that's not just picking on a guy for the sake of it. I think he'll come good. Look at Doherty. He was one everybody had written off, and look how solid he is. And he scored today, So very, very good all round. Very good.
Yeah. Absolutely. You can tell Jar's still in shell shock by that result 5-1. He still can't believe it. We're sitting here trying to give dirt to Romero, and he's one of the best players on the field. I'm sure Jar will come on to say that as well shortly. Romero was just absolute class at there, right, Jar? Romero
was so aggressive, so on the front foot, really pushes forward on the front foot. And the way whenever he got involved with St. Maximin was unreal. He just got straight in. He weren't having it. So St. Maximin starts to get head of steam out. Romero wasn't happening. Straight in on him. Superb. Front foot. Good.
Yeah, was superb. Tans, let's come over to you next. Spurs really piling the pressure now on Arsenal by moving into that top 4. I think that second half performance overall, and I must add, without a natural left wing back in the team as well, was just superb. And I think the rest of the teams around them now should be really worried. Spurs looking a real threat now for that Champions League place. Some of them a rival now, the likes of United, Arsenal, West Ham. It really feels like now Spurs have clicked at the right time under Conte. Do you agree?
No, absolutely. I think there's a real togetherness now with Spurs players. I think the fact that we have won 5 out of our last 6, winning breeds positivity. It breeds that togetherness. We look confident. And I think we're starting to see real team performances. I think some of our wins this season, you look back on it and you think, yeah, it was individual brilliance, or we were a bit lucky to get away with that one. But actually, I think now as a team, we're all playing really well. And yeah, I think if you look at the fixtures we've got left compared to the Arsenal fixtures, I think, we have to be a little bit more optimistic, because I wasn't as optimistic before these past couple of wins. So I think we have to still take it every game as it comes with Spurs, because you just never know. I was a bit nervous, especially in that first half when we conceded. I thought, oh no, please, it's not going to be one of those games where we're trying to knock on the door and it's just not happening for us. But yeah, that second half, we just absolutely annihilated Newcastle. They didn't have any answers. And yeah, it's just really good to see. I think Romero, absolutely brilliant. I love him. I think he deserves all the plaudits. Bentancur, I just love the calmness that he's brought in that midfield. I just love watching him. Brilliant passer of the ball. And Kulusevski, I think he's a great addition to our front three. So we've got to be confident. We've got Harry Kane. You know, that is a massive, massive advantage over the likes of United, who just don't look great right now. Arsenal, they've been in good form, but they don't have a Harry Kane. They don't have a Son. So, yeah, I think it's time to be positive for a change. And that is very rich coming from me. But, yeah, I'm optimistic. Really pleased.
I mean, you're right, Tans. I mean, you look at the Spurs. I mean, overall, we've got some real game changers in there. And whilst I must say Arsenal are obviously still to play on Monday night, whilst they look, probably many have said, more of a team, it does feel like under Conte now, Rich, coming over you, that Spurs are starting to come to the fore of when it really matters. I know we've said this before with Tottenham, but as I touched upon there with Tans, it was such a brilliant second half performance from Spurs. I thought the front three in particular were just superb, and it just seems so satisfying to watch those guys. And you see the likes of Royal, Bergvall with a goal as well for their confidence, Moore with an assist. And we say Spurs up to 4th, 5 wins from 6. Rich, are we slowly getting away from this inconsistent nature of Tottenham?
Yeah, it looks that way, Rick, doesn't it? Now that we're just starting to hit our straps at the right time, and absolutely, we're in our form. That's what it's all about, and it's you kind of look at a season, and everything sort of leads into that last 9-10 games, doesn't it? And what you want, it's like taking an ocean liner across the seas. I mean, when you get to where the icebergs are, you need a good captain to steer you through them. And that's what we've got in Conte. He's seeing the icebergs and he's going, right, I'll deal with that one. I've got past that one. Here's that one. And you need a captain. You need a captain of the ship. And he needs all his crew to be doing their things. So listen, Conte's been there, done it. Got the badges for it, got the medals for it. So you look at that and you think to yourself, okay, well, there's a man that knows how to get us through these last 8-9 games. Arteta, he's not been there before yet. So let's see. When the muck and bullets are flying, you want that man that knows how to steer through it. And Conte absolutely looks that man. He's got everybody playing. Today, Rick, Doherty scores, Davis scores, Royal scores. For those of us that was born in black and white, this is like Johnny Pratt, John Lacey, and Don McAllister scoring, and Chiv not getting on the score sheet, and Harry Kane, So if you've got players like that, but he's just absolutely getting every last ounce of, these are boys that were getting absolute pelters, and today they've come to the fore and gone, go on then, we'll have this game. We'll win this game for you. And they've stepped up and absolutely smashed it. But if you're getting goals from people like that on a day when Harry Kane may have not sort of his normal standards, Sonny got one but missed an absolute sitter, and you've got players like that coming in and getting you goals, they make all the difference, Rick. Every team that you've ever seen win anything, like the Man U teams of back in the sort of 90s and that, you get goals that are chipping from people like Neville and people like Keane, and they come in and they get you them crucial goals. So if you've got those types of players firing, you've got a chance. You've got every chance. So over to you lot tomorrow night, Woolwich, the South London lot. It's the big South London derby tomorrow night, by the way. And let's see where you go from now. Crack on, and let's see if you can go again as well now. So listen, we're feet up tomorrow night. Job done. Scoring goals for fun, and they've got to come and catch us. So let's see who can handle the pressure.
Absolutely. If anyone's worried, Rich was not going to provide us an analogy, there you go. 12 minutes, 22 seconds in, the man never fails to deliver. Never fails to deliver. Joe, coming back around to you. Many pick up on this point, a stat in the comments here. Spurs have now scored more goals than any other team in the Premier League goals this season of calendar year. Spurs have also improved their goal difference by a margin of 17 in 6 games, scoring 21 goals in the process. I mean, Jar, just firstly on that for you, as we just kind of touched upon there with Rich, does it feel like Conte's system, as you've already alluded to, seems to now be clicking, and we're giving ourselves a wonderful chance now of actually generally getting into this top four, aren't we, Jah?
Yeah, looking very good. You know, the Kane coming deep, passing it out really patiently from the back, but then with a good tempo, suddenly they speed it up. They zip it into Kane. Son as well coming deep, doing the same thing, and runners going beyond, especially the wing backs. Superb. See what I found really interesting today? We went 4-4-2, I think, at the end. Did we look like to me? I thought that's
definitely a change in formation.
I wonder why he's done that. And Bergwijn looking good down the middle. And I think Bergwijn's best down the middle for me, actually. You know, that's when he looks the most dangerous. I thought that was interesting, suddenly going 4-4-2. I wondered, is that with one of the up-and-coming games in mind? You know, but they look a real force. You know, every time they come forward, they look like they can score now, Tottenham. And the other thing, it's not just on the break. They're now scoring goals, as they did with a winning goal against City weeks and weeks ago, with that last-minute winning goal where they actually patiently played it around for a bit. We're now doing what you're supposed to do, switching the play, moving teams about, and then making your move, you know. So the football's getting quite canny. Bentancur, as Tanya said, crucial, because he's the only guy in the middle, really, with that nous. It's not even 40-yard passes with him. He's not Glendale, just these cute little passes round the corner. Very smart. Kulusevski, another brilliant player. Imagine Kulusevski if he had a half a yard more pace.
Well,
I know, that's the only thing he's missing.
It's a little bit stuck, you know.
Yeah, I must say with Kulusevski, obviously many like myself was really disappointed when they missed out on Diaz in the January window. But I've got to say, when you look at how quick he settled and adapted to not only the Premier League, but this team, I mean, he's just hit his ground running. And to come over to you, Tans, I mean, the stats here again, you're looking at them now. Kane, this is obviously the Spurs front three has transformed this season. 27 goals combined now in the last 8 Premier League games. If I read these out, credit to Jonathan Veal on this. Kane, 8 goals, 4 assists. Son, 5 goals, 3 assists. Kulusevski, 2 goals, 5 assists. I mean, that front three is just formidable, isn't it, at the moment, Tans?
No, absolutely. And I feel really lucky as a Spurs fan to have that front three, because it's hard to come by, I think. And, you know, you mentioned Luis Diaz. I was one of those people. I was really gutted. I thought we've missed out on a player there. But I actually don't think Diaz would have worked in the Conte system. I just think Kulusevski's been perfect for us. And I actually think he's been one of the best transfers of the January window, in my opinion. I just think he's gone about his business. He's made a big impact. And as I said at the start, I just think he's been such a good addition to our front three. Gives us something different, very creative. He's got a bit of flair about him, lovely to watch. So, yeah, I think the fact that the goals are coming at the right time, yeah, we have more faith winning games, I think. So, yeah, more than happy with our front three. Kane looks absolutely... I mean, the fact he didn't score today, I think he got man of the match. Did he get man of the match?
Yeah, man of the match.
He's just incredible, Harry Kane. And, you know, I hate when he gets disrespected. He's world class. He's unbelievable. Yeah. So, yeah, it's good times for Spurs right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Conte, said after the game, just on Harry Kane, and we will come on to that, just how much he loves him to be, because he is such a team player, sets the example to the rest of the team. Cracks, to come over to you. Conte after the game, you know, we will get obviously into the game very, very shortly, but I mean, Conte after the game said, we are creating many chances and scoring a lot. I'm seeing the team playing in this way, and I'm seeing great improvements in the technical and tactical aspects. I'm happy for the players, and they're enjoying to play in this way. He said in November, it was very difficult to believe we were in the race for the Champions League. Usually when you change managers, it means there are difficulties, and for sure there were. But in the last period, I have seen my team, it's now in the race because I've seen the great improvement. If the player brings himself to another level, it means the team is going to be stronger than before. It feels as well, Rich, that, you know, Conte has real now belief in this team. By setting that target of top 4, it feels like all of these players are now buying into that concept, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, we are beginning to now see a Conte team, aren't we? It's, you know, he's just got that Conte vibe stamped right through it. It's like a stick of Blackpool Rock now, isn't it? It's just like, it just says Antonio Conte right through it. And that's what you want to see, because the man's just an absolute winner. You know, he's not gonna settle for anything less than everybody giving everything. He does. And now the team does. And, you know, some points that people was making, how seamlessly did we transfer over to a 4-4-2 at the end? It was just like it just absolutely clicked, and that takes some doing. If you're playing one type of system and then also make a couple of substitutions and go 4-4-2 and then still look as good, you know, everybody's knowing their jobs, everybody's giving everything that they can, and listen, Rick, it's a joy to go and watch again. That's the important thing, you know. People were going over there and spending their money, and let's face it, you know, money ain't easy to come by at the moment with everything going on. So every pound's a prisoner, and people are still turning up over there buying tickets at good prices. But you're coming away feeling like you've got your money's worth now, because you just feel like they're giving you that 50, 60, 70, 80 quid that you're putting in to go to a game. And, you know, we was talking about Kulusevski just a few moments ago. Boy's 21 years old, Rick. He's 21 years old. I read an interview with him in the Times Sport last week. 15 years old. He goes off to Italy as a like young Swedish lad, no mum and dad with him, like 15 years old. He goes to Italy and starts going to school there, couldn't speak a word of the language. And as you know, like, you know, I've sort of gone out to Spain and I've done the same thing with my boys, put them into a school, don't speak the language. But, you know, some kids drown and some kids like absolutely knock it out of the park and swim. So here's a boy of 21, but he's already had, like, you know, 6 years of hard yards. And no wonder he's come into the team and just looks so good. And that's exactly what you want, is that the maturity of him is astonishing, absolutely astonishing at that age. It really is. So, no, it's just... I'm just loving it at the moment. Absolutely loving what Conte's doing and the stamp he's putting on them. And long may it continue. You know, the club have now got to look at this and say, right, what does this man want? And just give him every fiver from under the mattress and the biscuit barrels and go, that's yours. Go and win us something now, you know, because if you don't keep him, where'd you go after this? Where do you go? Yeah. He's transformed us. And as much as I love Poch has gone, I just feel like there's something a little bit more with Conte. There just feels like that step up in gear and quality with him. And, Rick, like you can't ask for any more. If you're turning up over there and you're seeing everybody giving their all and entertaining, that's all you ever want. That's all you can ever ask for. So, long may it continue.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And just on that, Jar, coming over to you, listen, there's been lots of calls for, you know, in terms of Conte and obviously give the man what he wants. You know, we're seeing, I think, week by week now, a progression of the team, the patterns of play, you know, and after he said, you know, we know very well in this race, there are other teams that are in there at the moment, the likes of Arsenal, that have got 2 games. He says, don't forget Manchester United. But he specifically said after the game that you can see a team that has specific characteristics and you can recognise your football. In this moment, this is a team with an idea of football. Every single player knows what will happen during the game, what they have to do. And I think that's very clear to see, isn't it? That every player seems to know their job, know what they need to do. And there's now really, well, I'd say a bond now between Conte and these players that they believe in themselves. They can reach the top 4. Can you also see that, Jar, the way it's being translated on the pitch?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he's one of the most transparent football managers. There's not a lot of smoke and mirrors. It is what you see, you know. Play it out from the back at pace. Players drop deep. And suddenly, do you remember the last few seasons, even towards the end of Poch's tenure, we made football look like the hardest game. Yeah. You know, we were so laboured with the passing. You know, it was all awful. You know, and now there's a tempo. There's good simple movement. You know, whereas an attacker can have if the attacker goes to drop short, he'll always beat the defender, because he knows he's going to make the run, you know. So at times it should always be the defender. And you're going to draw fouls and put people under pressure with getting yellow cards, and they're going to be on reds and all that stuff, you know. And you will get on the turn. And that's what's happening, you know, all throughout the game. They're turning defenders, you know. There's a number of occasions every game you see the opposing defence running back, you know. That's what you want, getting them defenders running back towards their own goal, starting to get indisciplined and losing their shape and switching the play really, really well now, you know. I must admit, you know, if I look at the team, I don't think I hope he stays. I don't think there'll be wholesale changes. I think we need maybe a good left-sided centre half. Maybe a real world-class centre-half to go in the middle of the three. I think we need another good midfielder, not necessarily a holding player, but someone with the general Bentancur kind of thing that can control the tempo of a game, be defensively sound. That's definitely something we need. And the wing-backs need either to improve or be replaced. And I think we're seeing good signs. Sessegnon, till he got injured, he's got that directness I think Conte likes.
Agree.
And I've got to see Fulham play a few times over the years. I know a few Fulham seasons to get older, and I like Sessegnon. I liked him more than the Fulham fans. Funny enough, they felt he wasn't a footballer. I felt he gets down that flank. He knows what he gets down that flank, gets the line, and he scores goals. So Regulian, he worries me, Reggie, a little bit defensively. Bit indisciplined. But same as Royale, same as Emerson, he's young and hopefully he's improving all the time. And he wasn't even on the bench today. I take it he's got a knock.
Yeah, we're going to come on to that in a second. Yeah, unfortunately, knock at the moment. We'll see if obviously he recovers in time for Villa next week. But just to finish up on Conte's quotes, coming over to you, Tans. He says, we have 8 games, 8 finals to try and take as many points in every game to continue to dream to finish in the top 4. Now, I know before the game in the week, he called it a miracle. But what he was obviously relating to there is where Spurs were when he came in to where they were now. Tans, is this probably the most confident you felt that Spurs can achieve a top 4 finish?
No, absolutely. I just wish we signed him in the summer, to be honest. I think, you look back under Nuno. I mean, look, unfortunately it didn't work out, but I just think if we had Conte, I honestly do think we would have been in an even better position. I mean, we're 5 points off Chelsea. Chelsea are the champions in Europe, It's crazy. And people would look at our season and think it's not been great. And I think that's all down to Conte, his coaching. And I just think it's down to him being a world-class manager. We've never really had a manager in the peak of his powers like Conte, just won a Serie A. So I think naturally it was inevitable that players are going to grow in confidence and get better. I had no doubt about it. So, yeah, I feel so confident with Conte. He's been here before. He's got the experience. I think when you look at Arsenal, just to touch on them, I think someone said it, they have got a young team and Arteta's not really been in this position before, whereas Conte's been in the league. I have this trust in Conte, and I've said it the whole season. In Conte, we trust. Like, just do whatever Conte says. And I mean that in the summer as well when it comes to players. If he wants to keep this player, keep this player. If he wants to get rid of that player, get rid of that player. And just bring the players that he wants in. Because so far, I don't think he's put a foot wrong. And I love how transparent he is. And yeah, I love his enthusiasm as well. I mean, I've been to a couple games now and I've just noticed the change in atmosphere at games. I just think the atmosphere is a lot more electric. We're getting behind him and we're getting behind the players. So absolutely. Yeah, I love him. I don't want him to go.
No, I think it's a great point you make there, Tans. I think you feel it now in the crowd. That today's name was sung throughout. There is that bond as is discussed. And I think, as I've said it before with Conte, I think if he was to win at Tottenham, it is probably the biggest achievement of his career, just because of the nature of where Spurs are and that trying to change the mentality. I think Tottenham as a football club for far too long, have been a club that have always been the bridesmaids, never quite got over the line. But Conte, you feel if he can do that, that ultimately raises, I think, his profile. When you think Pochettino's been here, when you think, of course, obviously you look at Jose Mourinho being here, and now Antonio Conte, where if we're being honest with you, like you said there, Tans, why did we not do this in the summer? We grovelled back to him, at a point where Spurs were still in all cup competitions, still able to make the top 4. But I think in full knowledge that there was still a lot of problems at Spurs to be addressed. But you can see now, with 9 games to go, 8 games to go, that there is a genuine belief now amongst those players that they know the way the manager wants them to play. And I think, they've started to believe they can get in the top 4. Pardon the meme that will probably come in now as I say that. So.
I just wanted to say, because I think if we get top 4, it'll be absolutely massive for us, because I don't think people would like having a manager like him. Like, it's major pulling power. Absolutely. The players we can attract, and even it plays a factor in Harry Kane staying at the football club. I think that's partly, I know there was him wanting to go to City, but I do felt that players just weren't inspired by Nuno. But when you've got Conte as a manager, I think who wouldn't want to stay? I mean, if I was a footballer, I'd love to be managed by him. So, yeah, it's all very positive. If he stays and if we get top 4, we've got so much to look forward to, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, fingers crossed the man goes nowhere. But next, we are going to talk about the story of the game. Wonderful game for Tottenham, a 5-1 win against Newcastle. We're going to dig into that. But before we do, we are going to go for our first break of the show. for our listeners on audio. For watching us on YouTube, you all know by now that we're absolutely delighted to be sponsored by NordVPN. NordVPN is, of course, a secure, fast, and incredibly easy to use VPN. NordVPN, in our opinion, is the Harry Kane of VPNs, incredible in all its facets, with the device protection of a Christian Romero and the internet speed of Heung-min Son, the fastest VPN in the world. It's got over 5,200 servers across 59 countries in the UK, and NordVPN automatically selects the best server based on locations, loads, and all your specific needs. For me personally, I've enjoyed using the app where you can essentially sign up to get brilliant discounts off the likes of YouTube Premium. If you switch your location settings to maybe India or Argentina, it works out slightly cheaper. And I must say, if you're going through the airport at all, want to avoid all those dodgy connections, check Nord out. At the moment, Nord have launched a brilliant new feature called Threat Protection, which is an anti-malware software which users are able to download for free with the LWS code, along with a huge discount and the 1 month free. So go and grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/LWOS and use that code LWS to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan, plus Threat Protection and 1 additional month free. You can't go wrong. You absolutely can't go wrong. And like I say, we can't go wrong because we're going to talk about the game now itself, where Spurs, as we said, rampant against Newcastle United. And listen, we'll start with you, Jah, to kick it off. I must say, obviously, ahead of the game, Spurs were forced into the one change. Sergio Reguilon, unfortunately, missing training during the week, which saw Emerson Royale come into the team. I think if the Spurs social media guru had to do the team lineup beforehand, he took an absolute pelting when putting Emerson Royale in there. So much so Jah didn't want to give him the credit. But there you go. Jah, give us your thoughts on the team. Any surprises bar the one change there with Emerson Royale coming in?
Yeah, it was, obviously we weren't overjoyed when the team was announced, no Reggie and Doherty playing on the left. Doherty made a good fist of it, to be fair, did a good job, scored a goal, did well. There's a couple of times where it obviously went against him not being left-footed. There was a good clearance from, a good pass from Lloris. He could have got to, I think he was left-footed, and he just kind of hesitated, and and the ball went out of play and everything. But no, we know what the team's going to be now. So, I think if Reggie's fit, he probably starts. We definitely know, and the players definitely know what the starting 11 is. And I think that's based on not just on how well they're doing at the moment in games, but obviously in training. I think the 4-4-2, I think that Conte probably figures Bergwijn is a bit of a number 9 as much as anything. And I think he probably feels a bit sorry at not playing Bergwijn and wants to bring him in a bit more because he's a top player. We don't want to lose him. Right now, you look what he's doing for Holland. He's one of the top strikers in the world, and he's on our bench. He's on our bench. So, we might see him, maybe might surprise us. He might start a game. I thought doing a 4-4-2, why would you do that? Except it wasn't about changing the defence I think that was about bringing Bergwijn on. And to be fair, today when Lucas come on, Moura, he's sometimes like a chicken with his head cut off, but he really looks at game. Him and Bergwijn both look really game at the moment, Again, it's no end product at times with Lucas Moura. That's one of the issues with him, But we've got we've actually the bench now. Those players can really make an impact. So, no real surprises with the team. We know what we're going to be free at the back, I think, for most games. We know the style of play. It's all about the wing backs. Often the opposing wing backs, the guy furthest up the pitch, makes the pitch really big. So they're very, very good.
Yeah. Just give some context to that team. Turn over to you, Rich. Conte made one change, that Tottenham team against Newcastle United, as we said. It was Skip and Owen Testing still out injured, but Conte did give us some confidence that he hopes both of those players will hopefully be in a position to feature against Aston Villa this time next week. Conte said on Reguilon missing out, as Jah touched upon earlier, that he did pull up in training on the Thursday and he had to leave the session. So again, we'll hopefully have a bit more of an update on Sergio Reguilon, maybe on Antonio's pre-match press conference against Aston Villa next week. Obviously, it meant Royale came in for his first Spurs start since Burnley away, as I touched upon. Not sure, obviously, how it was received by the Spurs social media and in Twitter in general. But that team read Lloris, Romero, Dyer, Davis, Emerson, Højbjerg, Bentancur, Doherty, Kulusevski, Kane, Son, with a bench of Galini, Roden, Sanchez, Winks, Bowden on there as well. White, Bergwijn, Lucas, Scarlett. Rich, as I asked Jar, any surprises there with the team bar the one enforced change?
No, I think it kind of picks itself now, Rick, doesn't it? And with some nice options. If we do make top four for next season, then we are going to have to look to deepen that squad, because if you do want to put one sort of dark spot on things, we've looked good since we've gone out of other competitions and we've gone back to playing once a week. And when we was like twice a week in cups and that, we did struggle a little bit. And that's always been a bit of a feature with Conte. If you give him one game a week, 6 days to prepare, then we look very formidable. But if we start getting some midweek games again, we can begin to look a little bit leggy. And so maybe we are going to need a few more options, especially if we do make Champions League. But if you make it, you've got half a chance of attracting players as well. So, so it's absolutely crucial. But look, Emerson Rolls had some stick, as other players have, but then they've stepped up and done very well and sort of coped with that and come through it. And he's getting a lot out of some of these players. Some of them, you know what you're going to get. You know what you're going to get from Sonny. You know what you're going to get from Kane. You know what you're going to get from Eric Dyer now. You know what you're going to get from Romero. And then there's those other players like Ben Davies, like Royal. There's some of them you think to yourself, I'm not too sure about him. But when they start stepping up like they have, what more can you ask? They're giving you anything. Winks came on today, and he looked fantastic. He come in, looked far more assured. How worried was we all at the start of the season when you saw Winks? It was very like, worried. Oh my days! You started checking if the Ravens were still at the Tower of London, didn't you? It was just like, oh my God! He's coming today and just looked assured and he looked confident. But I think that's just sort of spreading out from other players are pulling trees up and looking good, and it just drags everybody else up with them as well. So it's a nice look to the team at the moment. And then you bring Bergwijn on, and I really like him. He's exciting. He just he gives you a little something. He's a little bit maverick, and you think to yourself, well, man, we could end up seeing something quite special here now. That player that gets you up off your seat, and he could be that. He scored for Holland. Done very well in international break, and I do like him. So I think you just got to keep a few of those types of players around the squad, and just as John said, a couple of positions that we need to strengthen in. Bring a little bit of depth in as well. Not too much, because, you can end up unsettling things. Yeah. You bring in too many players. You dip them in. You dip one or two in and you just improve it. Like Bentancur has, like Kulusevski has, 2 players, and they've absolutely transformed it round now. So, just bring Bell back for one last swan song in front of the fans. I know Ericsson. Give him a contract for one last season, and Ericsson. But look, they wouldn't be sentimental signings, would they, for us? Because they're both absolutely tearing it up at the moment.
Can you imagine in a midfield without you've got options of Ericsson in there, and you've got Skip to come back as well? Oh, I mean, you got
exactly. They're 2 quality players, and as much as we'd love it, they actually had something as well. So I wouldn't be too upset to see 2 very experienced players like them coming in, even if you only give them a year, maybe a 2-year contract. And get something from them, but what 2 players to have in the squad? So look, let's worry about the rest of this season, get over the line, and then take a look at this squad and go from there. But at the moment, it's not a bad place to be, is it? With what he's got and what he's getting from some players as well. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. Now let's come around in Tans, because to be fair, Tans, it may not have been the game that we was expecting at one point when Newcastle taking a lead. Shah's free kick, it flies around the edge of the wall. Lloris won't want to see this one again. I don't think we would either, but he can't keep it out. Lloris looked really unimpressed by the wall, but I've got to say, it wasn't on his side. So do you think Tan should have done a lot better there, Hugo Lloris?
Yeah, I think he should have done a lot better. I think that's the only negative on the game, really. I think Lloris would be looking at that thinking he should have done a lot better with that. But I just was frustrated that we gave away a free kick in the first place. I think it was Sonny, wasn't it? I just thought it was a bit needless. But yeah, thankfully it means nothing now. I don't need to dwell on it. But, I was really worried at that point because I just thought, it's so typical of us. We've dominated the whole game. I mean, there was a point where I saw 80% possession. I thought, hang on, is that Tottenham? 80% possession. I couldn't believe it. So I was worried when that goal went in. But we responded brilliantly straight after. But yeah, I think Lloris could have done better with that, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a good point you make there, because I just think with Lloris, coming over to you, Jah, I always think, when the ball is on his side, the goal, you got the wall on the other side. I think the goalkeeper then has got to take some degree of responsibility for it. It just seemed that, he can only palm the ball into his own net, Jah. Do you have any worries about generally Lloris and what comes next season? And obviously, he's only just signed a new contract, but do you think he needs another goalkeeper to be pushing in? We know Galini's probably unlikely to stay. Is he near that competition for next season?
I think Lloris is a top keeper. I really do. I think he's a top keeper. I think he's a bit of a sweeper keeper. He's got he flaps a bit, but then again, I can't hardly think of a keeper nowadays who doesn't. The modern game. It's these split-second decisions whether you come off your line or not. But there are times like Spurs, like Robinson and Spurs keepers of old. He's frozen on his line at corners and all that.
Yeah.
And that free kick today, I just thought I'd have to see it again. I thought, how could it get in low? You thought it's either going to go high to his left with pace and curl, and if it was a worldy like a Ward-Prowse shot, fair enough, he wouldn't get to it. Or if they get it over the wall at pace on the other side to where he's standing, then fair enough, he's been beaten. It looked a bit soft to me, to be honest, and I think he'll be disappointed. But to be fair, he saved our bacon in a good few games this season. He's made some outstanding saves, to be fair, And in some of those games we lost at home, before we conceded the goals, he had tried to get us out of jail. He made some great saves before we conceded against Southampton, if I remember rightly, in that game, and Wolves. But I think especially Southampton, I think he made a couple of great saves. So he's a great player. And I think he's unfairly criticised as being faulty. I don't see him as a shaky keeper, Lloris, by and large. He's had the odd mistake, but keepers do, I think he's genuinely a world-class player, and psychologically he's very strong. He's a winner. He's a World Cup winner.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say as well, Jah. What impressed me, Jah, as well, when he does make these mistakes, mentally he's able to recover in game to then finish the game very, very strongly, which I do think is obviously a good trait to have. Rich, coming over to you, I do, and I'm aware of this, that I'm conscious that there was a possible handball in the build-up, and I know VAR did arrive at the decision that the goal stood. It's mad when you think that there was a mad handball in this fixture last season, of course, between these two games where it cost Spurs. Did you have a view at all on the handball, Rich, as to whether that Spurs got away with one there? Should have maybe had it denied? What do you reckon?
Well, listen, Rick, I think this is where we are with VAR at the moment. Everything has to be micro-analysed by some bean counter at Stockley Park and look at this and look at that. It was never a handball, was it? So I'm glad it stood. If it got chalked off, you'd say that's just not an handball. And I know we've been on the wrong end of a few of these VAR decisions, as well as being on the right end of them as well. So that's a bigger story, isn't it, VAR? And so it's let's go away and have a look at that and make sure that it was 100% pure. And football isn't, sometimes you get the rub, sometimes you don't, but that's why we love the game. It's that yin and the yang of it. So absolutely, listen, the players went back to the centre spot. They were waiting to kick off, and it comes up VAR, possible handball, and none of the players had gone over to the ref or
there was no real even attempt from the Spurs players to try and get it overturned, which does frustrate me in a way. I wish Spurs were.
Yeah.
I wish our players were a bit more forceful when it comes to trying to push that towards the referee. But again, decision was made, and obviously the goal did stand.
Yeah, exactly. But with Lloris, I think it was one of those ones where he couldn't get it up and over the wall. It was just too close. So it was always going to his left there, and he's got a hand to it, but he's just not got enough of one. And if there's any criticism of Lloris, and I don't like to be critical of him, that's probably one of his only weaknesses, is getting a strong hand to something like that. He has got caught a few times with a bit of a lettuce wrist on things, and but look, as John said, that's the lot of a keeper, and we spoke about this before, Rick. Kane and Son could miss 2 or 3 gilt-edged chances, and you go, okay, like game carries on. And so you could say that they've made a mistake, but all it's led to is not getting a goal. Now, the lot of a goalkeeper is when you make a mistake, it's like magnified by 1,000, because it normally leads to a goal, and it looks awful. But that is the lot of a goalkeeper. So if you're gonna dig Lloris out for a mistake, to a big degree, you have to do the same for any other player that gives a ball away that leads to a goal, or indeed doesn't slot home. I mean, Sonny missed an absolute gilt-edged chance today, and that he should have tucked it away all day long, but he didn't. So that's no worse a mistake than Lloris has made there, really. But because it's led to a goal, it's like it's more highlighted, it's magnified. So. But Lloris saves us so much more than he costs us, and it's difficult to bring in goalkeepers that are good, that haven't got a weakness. If you want one, it's going to cost you £800 million to bring one in now. That's where we are in the football market and the forces of the market. So as things stand, like it'll do for me. The lad at West Brom there's talk about him
Sam
coming
Johnson.
in, I really like him. So Galini doesn't seem to be the answer, and you're right, every position needs people fighting to want to come in and make the position their own. So if he comes in, puts a little bit of heat under Lloris, and what's he got, another couple of seasons left anyway, so it's time to bring somebody in and start running them alongside Lloris, so that when he does decide to go and bring a stunning career to an end, or goes off and plays somewhere else, we've got a ready-made to go keeper. So it's tough. You can't really give him any stick. He just digs us out of so many holes. It's ridiculous. So one in the minus column, but he's still well in credit in the plus column, isn't he?
He is indeed. I'm not sure if that result stays at 1-0 there for years. It could be a completely different show, but we don't need to discuss it, thank God. Let's come over to Tans. Tans, Spurs hitting back pretty much immediately, which is great to see. And it was a terrific glancing header from Ben Davies. There you go, yep, from Ben Davies, from Son's dangerous cross. Did it really impress you, Tans, the way Spurs reacted so instantly? Because Spurs teams in the past, as we've seen, they go a goal down at home, pressure becomes on them, and they normally find it very hard to react. But I think credit to the team, almost an instant response there from Spurs. How pleasing was that, Tans?
Oh, I was going ballistic. I was going absolutely mad with that, just because it was so quick, wasn't it? And I think I've seen that a couple of times now under Conte. I think we've gone a goal down and we're straight back into it again. So, yeah, it was a lovely ball from Son into Davies. And, yeah, I couldn't believe it, Ben Davies. But to be fair to him, he had a good game. And this is the thing. I do think, even myself, I've been harsh on players like Emerson, Doherty, even Davies at times. But you do have to give credit where it's due. I thought Davies done well for the header. And I was really pleased that Son made up for that mistake. I said to him, you know what, you're forgiven now after that. It was a lovely little ball in. It was literally pinpoint. So, yeah, really pleased for us to get back in, especially before half-time as well. I did not want to go into that second half with Newcastle being 1-0 up. So it was good to, get on the score sheet straight away, because one, it's just good for momentum and it just gives you more confidence going into the second half. You feel you've got something to play for. So, yeah, I was absolutely buzzing that we responded so quickly.
Yeah, it was really, really impressive. And Jah, to come over to you, as I said, great response from Spurs, and Son again. Now I know there's been some stick about Son, and I'm getting some stick already here from PC Matt, who says Rick said Son isn't world class. I've always said for me, Son. For me, he's just below that world class bracket on the basis that for me, world class for me means that you're consistent, every single game. And I think with Son, he goes through what I call kind of, you go through goal droughts where you get, a run of goals. But what I will say about Son is that credit to him because his stats this season have been phenomenal. And it just shows that even though he hasn't been getting the goals, he's still been contributing assists. And listen, there'll be no one more than me that would love to see Son shut me up and be consistent throughout the season. But, as I said, Jah, really good response from Spurs. Is that exactly what you want to see? Because I know in the past, we've always said, when you've been on here, Jah, Spurs sometimes labour when they go a goal down, but so impressed by the way they instantly hit back.
Well, there's a belief that we're in the whole stadium now because of Antonio Conte. So, I was concerned, but the crowd don't start barracking the players the way they would a few months ago. There's a degree of patience there. And Son, to be fair, he was more guilty than Lloris, because that, with giving the free kick away was as bad as Lloris having a lettuce wrist going down to his left, with it. But I saw Kane get into everybody as soon as that free kick was scored. And then it was Son who made that run. He looked absolutely determined. They went up a gear suddenly when they went a goal down. That's fantastic to see. What you're saying about Son, I have that argument with my younger son, who says exactly what you say. He says Son isn't quite there at world class. Yeah. I think he is.
Interesting.
But my son says exactly what you're saying. But I played football with. There's one guy, Albert Morgan, who he was a kit man at United, knows a thing about football, still kicks the ball and all that, Albert. Yep. And he was sitting there. He'd sit there alongside Fergie. Him and a couple of his pals who know a bit about football think the world of Son. They would rather have Son at Old Trafford than Kane. For him, and for me, you see, any of those top teams would have Son. He's the modern striker, can come in from wide positions, graphs, is intelligent, So for me, it's top. But it's just football's all about opinions, of course. So my younger boy very much says what you say. He's inconsistent. His attitude is when he's got to beat a man, sometimes he lacks confidence,
exactly that.
And all that. Sometimes he hasn't quite got a trick in him. My attitude to that is that tends to happen when he's asked to be a left winger. And he's not a left winger. You leave Son when Kane's out, and we've had Son up front on his own under Poch and stuff. He's a menace because you give him free rein to move. He's much better getting the ball deep and running as he did today a few times. And that's because Conte understands, and that's Conte's giving him good instructions. Yeah. He doesn't want him trying to be a tricky winger. You've got your wing backs giving you the width. So he wants them tucking in, picking the ball up in pockets and running at people, And that's where it's dangerous. And this is where the gaffer makes a difference, But I have that rare every Tottenham game with my younger son. Exactly. He likes Son, thinks he's not quite world level.
Listen, for me, I've got to say, for me, like I say, Son is, he's that level where I just put him just below that because, again, when you've got that top category of the likes of Ronaldo's and the Messis, and I must say, listen, with Son, he doesn't play with, the best 11 in world football. So again, if he has got someone of a creator like Eriksen, maybe he would, and listen, he's played with Eriksen, of course, and got a good goal return, maybe he would be far up there. But for me, what I want to see with Sonny, and listen, just to be clear, I absolutely love Sonny, want him to be here, hopefully for the rest of his career.
You hate him, Ricky, you hate him.
Plays with a smile on his face. But all I want to see for me with Sonny is that level of consistency where every single game he's performing, because there has been times this season, and Rich, I know you probably agree with me as well, that there's been games where Son has gone missing. And like every player can't affect every game. But if you want to be, for me, put into that world-class bracket, you have to affect every single game. Am I being fair there, Rich?
No, absolutely, Rick. I've had this on social media quite often, and when coming on here about people being called world-class But, the world of social media is everything has to be so binary. So you say, I don't think Son's world class. And then somebody comes back at you and goes, oh, so you hate him, or like, oh, you don't rate him at all. No, I do rate him. Like, it's like with Kane. I don't have Kane as world class yet. You know, and people go, oh, you're having a laugh, and no, he's not world class. He's like that much just below it. He's nearly there. I mean, I wouldn't sell him for the world, and he's too good for us, really. Like, maybe not on today, because we're beginning to step up to Kane's levels. He's great. He's brilliant, but world class has just got that little something else. I mean, when we lost to Man United, we didn't lose to Man United. We lost to Ronaldo.
Exactly. Those are the players that talk about that.
That's the difference.
Can I just say something? Messi, I've seen Messi go missing in games or go quiet. Jimmy Greaves did.
Yeah.
It depends on the position. If you're a Dave McKay or you're in that middle of the park, right, you can't go missing. You've got to be there and fighting and winning balls. But for players up front, it's a different thing. Because sometimes, you know, if you're not getting the ball, you might come chasing back, but now you're not following the team game. You're coming back into positions to get on the ball, but you're not being effective where you really needed. So it's a team game. So for me, even Messi, I remember going back a few years, would have a quiet 10, 15 minutes in games. You know, but then do something brilliant, score a goal. So for me, but it's football, and there's no exact answer to any of this. And then we get into the area of aesthetics. It's almost like saying you prefer Monet to Picasso or something.
Yeah,
I don't know, they're different. You know. Yeah,
it's so interesting because sorry, go on, Shah. Sorry.
Go on, Tanya, go on.
No, I was just gonna say I just find this debate really interesting because I've also said that I don't know if Son's world class, but you know what? I can kind of see why people think he is because I just look at other players in the league that play in his positions. You compare him to the other wingers in the league, your Mane's, your Salah's, and I do think he's at that level. I do think, there's games where he's not quite at his best, and I think we've seen a lot of that this season. But I do just think he is there when we need the goals, and he does turn up in the big games, you know. So it's just interesting, though, isn't it? I think I can see both sides of the argument.
Well, I think we all agree. Listen, Kane, Son. I mean, we wouldn't want them anywhere else apart from Tottenham Hotspur.
No.
You know, we all want them to be here. We want them to score loads of goals. But again, like the problem is, we say that word, you know, world class. You know, it depends again what you deem as a person world class. And again, that's a whole other debate in itself. But you know, Spurs
and it depends what style of football a team plays.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly. And the players have got as well, Jah. And the players have got as well. You know, again, the players are also factored by the players they've got around them. So when we're judging the likes of Kane and Son in terms of, you know, the interpretation of world class, you've also got to judge the other 10 players that play around that pitch. And again, if you put Kane or Son into a team with 10 other of the world's best players, do they then suddenly take that upper level?
It's very similar to music like that. If you get a guy who's a great saxophonist and you put him with the right pianist, playing the right material with the right drummer, that rhythm section, you know, the bass player and if everyone's right, they make that saxophonist sound like world class. Whereas if you had some other guys behind him, we wouldn't quite sound world class. And these guys might be doing something you don't even focus on. You don't even focus on what they're doing. But that's the beauty of it. They're just laying a support, a foundation for the genius guy, the virtuoso. And I resent those virtuosos, by the way. I'm a bass player. But anyway.
And a bloody good one as well. Who says we're not covering all bases tonight? Pardon the pun. A player that, if I don't say he's world class, I'll be absolutely battered for that, and that's Ben Davies. Where's his show going? I mean, Ben Davies.
Oh, God, I have to disagree with you on that one, Ricky.
Ben Davies scored his first goal for Spurs in the Premier League since September 2017, as we mentioned there. Terrific glancing header. Going into half-time as well, Fabio Paratici doing his absolute nuts, you know, down the tunnel. Had to be held back by a fourth official, Graham Scott. Rich, very quickly on that, Fabio Paratici, do you like the way that he's so involved? So involved, isn't he? He's the managing director, and he's getting out there the fourth official.
I mean, it's a strange dynamic, and it was a bit like with Hitchin as well, and they're sat on the bench and they're shouting instructions, and so's Paratici, and you think to yourself, well, like, you know, that don't sort of normally see that. But look, if that works and everybody's comfortable with it, even if nobody else is doing it, carry on doing it. You know, it's like, but you just got to love that passion for that whole team is just getting involved and having their say and throwing their instructions in. So like it's like any family, you know, sometimes you have that the family down the road that does this and this, and you go, oh, I don't know if I'd like to do that, but you know what, if it works for that family, it works. So listen, the players are comfortable with it. Antonio's obviously comfortable with it, and it's a good team out the bench, and there's a good amount of passion. Simple as that.
Yeah, I think Harry Kane has jumped in your feed there, Rich, after you said he's not world class. We're going to have to cover that a bit. We're going to cover that very shortly on Harry Kane. What we will do as we recover Rich's feed is we will go for our next break of the show for our listeners on audio. Taking into that break, you're going to hear from the brilliant Anna from Spurs XY, who gives you a review of Spurs' women's performance today. Listen, I'm going to continue with some of, like I say, the story of the game and the player performances, because at Spurs, you know, again, going in front, extending their lead. Hans has come over to you. Cross from Kane, finding Doherty at the back post. And again, many people thought, Matt Doherty on the end of this. What's going on here with Tottenham? But who prodded it in from close range. And it's funny because Kane, if he was aiming for Doherty, it was an unbelievable cross. And Spurs turning the game on its head. Doherty, the unlikely scorer, Tans. Can you believe it?
I know, I couldn't believe he was there. Just I had to wake myself up for a minute. No, honestly, credit to Kane for the ball in. I mean, he's just honestly unbelievable. Like every time I watch Kane, I'm just like, how does he do it? I mean, how can you be such a prolific goal scorer, but also such an amazing creator, such a brilliant passer of the ball? Absolutely. I just don't know how he does it, honestly. I really don't.
Yeah, he's becoming a complete player, Tans, isn't he, Kane? We'll probably touch upon him a little bit more, but detail. But Kane, the ball in itself, do you think that was meant for Doherty?
Yeah, I think it was. I honestly do. I think it was meant for Doherty. He's a complete number 9 for me. Honestly, he's unbelievable. But yeah, good on Doherty for finishing it. As I said, very surprised that he was the one to get us to 2-1. But yeah, I'm absolutely delighted with it, to be honest. And I think from that point, I kind of felt we were going to win the game. I just think the way we came out in that second half, we were really confident, really bold.
Determination.
So, yeah, the determination was there. And I just thought, I think we're going to be on to a winner here.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. And Doherty, to be fair, was a super header coming over to you, Joe, at the near post. It took a while, I think, for him to work out how to affect the game from the left. But, you know, in that second half, it almost felt, you know, half-time regrouped, came out, really did, you know, pose another, you know, real threat for Spurs. And I know that Doherty, to be fair to him, career hasn't gone as way as it should have done so far at Spurs. But do you think, Jar, you know, his stay at Spurs goes beyond the summer, or do you think still he's a player that we need to upgrade?
I've got a feeling it will do, and I hope it does. I was very happy when he joined us for Wolves. Didn't know too much about it, except he was always involved with them. He was always seen to be in the box. I think he scored a few goals and got quite a few assists. And then he joined us, and he was like useless. You know, just looked pedestrian and looked like a third-tier player at times, completely lacking in confidence. And Conte's worked his magic. You know, you could hear him. I'm sure he says to them, you know, when you see a culo or you see Harry with ball, you must go to the far stick with a belief. You don't think like a religion, you go there. Because even if they don't make to come to you, it comes to you sometimes, and you score. You know, and that's it. And that's what Royale today, Emma's a couple of times. It's like, son, just go. You know, halfway. Oh, I'm not sure. Attack. You know, be positive. Go to the far stick. You know, because even if the cross isn't meant for you, you know, there's a lot of goals to be scored. So often, how often do you see balls go across the face of the goal and no one gets on it?
Yeah.
If you've got wing back switched on, they should always get on. They should always be there to finish it off. You know, and I think that's what a lot of Conte ball is about. So I like Doherty. I think he's a likeable looking guy, good Irishman. I hope he stays.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's a shame that we have moved on to visual now, because if Joel was on audio, I could have got away with him being Conte there for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I thought he was in the house.
We could have bagged Conte on the podcast, but obviously now it's visual.
I've started talking to my band like it. I'm talking like Conte now. I think they take me more seriously now than they did.
I mean, it was successful beforehand. Jar, was it improved?
It was. Yeah, I think I'd like to think marginally, especially with the drummer. I do the steely look and the Italian accent and all that. You know, listen, you must listen to me if you want to stay in the band. If you know, and all that. You know, and all that. Yeah.
Bit of a passion there, a Mediterranean
I
passion.
accused my drummer of having Munchausen's because he was ill the other night. So I accused him publicly of making himself ill in order to get attention. But anyway, it's another matter. You don't need to know about that. Yeah.
I love it.
He's a good guy.
An exclusive there from Jah Wobble. Who knew it? Right. Crackers coming out of you. Spurs scoring a third. Really brutal on the attack, to be honest with you. Kulusevski playing down the right. He picked out Son in the centre, who took a touch and buried the ball past the keeper. Son, you know, in general, like we touched upon earlier, forget that debate we had in terms of world-class, whatever level you want to rate him. But the impact he had in this game, Rich, overall, I mean, Newcastle were frightened of him every time he got the ball. Do you agree?
Yeah, very, very much so. And I think Newcastle set up to accommodate us, really, to be honest. They played right into our hands. The way they played absolutely suited us, you know. And you know, as a defender, you don't want Sonny running at you. He's devastating. He can be absolutely devastating. If you give him that time, give him that space, give him that type of service. You know, play a system against him that allows him to do that, and he's going to punish you. He will absolutely punish you. So that was job done then, Rick, wasn't it? You know, that third one's gone in, and it was like, get the cigar on. It's all over. But that step up in the second half when we've come out and really gone for it, you know, Antonio's had the desired effect. I won't try and do the accent, so I never realised he was Welsh, John, to be honest, with that accent he was doing. It's fantastic. But no, I'm pleased. You know, it's nice to see with Doherty. He's come in, and he was a square peg in a round hole today, and Ben Davies, and I love to see these players that are stepping up. They're giving you everything, you know. That's why I always, you know, I had no time for Lo Celso. I had no time for Ndembele. They didn't want to do anything, you know. People like Winks, he wants to play, you know. Whether that's good enough or not is a debate for another day. But if you've got 11 players that are giving you everything you can, you can't ask for any more. All you can then ask for is look at it and go, are they good enough to take us to the next level? Yeah, and if they're not and they have to go, they go with good wishes. But like, you know, Sonny today was he was class, absolutely class. He frightened the life out of them.
Yeah, I must say, Tans, and I want to give you the opportunity to say it because, again, probably my comments are Son, maybe not been well received so far, although I do think he's a wonderful player. But it is 9 in 9 now for Son. And the fact that, you know, he's not been at 100% over the course of the last 5 to 6 weeks, we know he can do even more. But that's just the level he's at, isn't it? You know, we prefer those stats there, 9 in 9. That just shows the capability of him when he's not been at that most top level that we have been used to with Son in previous seasons.
No, absolutely. And this is why I think, as bad as people say Son is in certain games, he does always get on the score sheet. And at the end of the day, that is all that matters. That's his job, isn't it? To score goals. And he does it every time when we need it. And yeah, he's always there, you know. So big up Sonny every time. He is world class, or he is not world class, whatever you want to say. But yeah, I think regardless of his form in recent games, he's still stepped up to the plate. And you do have to look at how many goals. I mean, how many has he got now this season? I mean, it's still pretty good, you know.
Yeah,
and
he's up there, isn't he? Top 3 or 4 in the you know, when you look at goals and assists combined overall, he's up there in the top 4 or 5 players in the Premier League. You know, so it just shows you the stats there. Although again, what we say about Son,
Rick, you know what, Rick, the test comes in like that rearranged Arsenal game.
The Arsenal game,
because it's obviously been, you know, it's been made for TV, so they've pushed it back in the hope that it becomes that big like shootout for the top 4. And this is when, you know, you separate the wheat from Jeff. He's done what, you know, Sonny needs to do what he's done today against them, and Kane needs to do it, and Doherty needs to do it, you know, and Kulusevski. And if you step up and you do it in that game, then you go, wow, okay, you know, there's the pressure. There's there's the money shot, if you like, you know. And if you've got them doing that in those games, then you think to yourself, okay, yeah, there's something about this team. There really is. You know, it's just as the pressure cranks up, can they step up those performances along with it? That's where it really matters.
Absolutely. Just on that Arsenal game, there's been some reports, which I will just share, I haven't seen them tonight, where reportedly, it must be said, the Sun are saying at the moment that that Arsenal game, I'm just trying to see it because there's been reports that that game is due to fall into that weekend of May, which I will bring you. It came from the Sun. We'll try and find that out for you because I did see that earlier in the day that it's been rearranged, as we know, between that period of 9th to the 14th. May the 9th, as Rob says. That's reportedly the date. That's on, I believe, a Thursday evening. So interesting because, again, for Tottenham, games in around them, I'm just saying, sorry, apologies. Thursday, May the 9th, it's a Monday. Spurs have got Liverpool on that on that Saturday. So it depends, obviously, how they'll rearrange that. But I do agree that for Spurs, really, when you look at that fixture against Arsenal, as Richard on the screen there says, that game will be like the Man City away game in 2010.
God, I can't watch
where,
it.
it will feel like that playoff. And again, Sky have done this really well. I mean, it probably will be the most viewed game of the year for certain if both teams carry on the trajectory of their run. Of course, as Spurs fans, let's hope Arsenal drop some points along the way where the game is, less meaningless. Well, for them, essentially, and for Spurs, they can go in there with a bit of a cushion into the top four. Because I just wonder, we will come on to it a bit later on, psychologically, Spurs going into that top four now, and we've discussed the goal difference already, just how that will affect Arsenal, because we've said about Arteta, young coach, a young squad. We've been there under Pochettino, players that can't handle the pressure. But under Conte, you look at the likes of Kane, Son, Bentancur, Lloris, Højbjerg. There's plenty of experience now in that Spurs team. Sonny as well. You just wonder, will that make the difference? I know lots of people will say, just hold fire. We've been here before. But, Rob tells Tanya, don't worry, Tans, we'll smash him. I mean, there's a confidence.
Oh, gosh.
That's got a meme all over it at some point later in the year, unfortunately. Jah, to be fair, it was really the Wireman show today, wasn't it? Because we touched upon the fact that, for any decent team under Conte, you've got to have prolific wing-backs. And to be fair, Emerson Royale getting on the end of Matt Doherty's cross. I don't think you believe I'm probably going to ask you that question, would you, tonight? You would have seen that coming in the script.
No, not at all. And I thought it was fantastic. He was so happy he scored. And I look at that boy. He's an athlete, and I think I actually would not bet against him coming good. He's the one everyone loves to hate. Winks was the one everyone loved to hate for a while. Tottenham, I thought maybe all clubs are like this. I don't know, but certainly Tottenham have always had to have a guy they hate. Always. There's always a fall guy.
Yeah, it does feel like
it's somewhere along the line. And at the moment, to be fair, he looks the shakiest player on there. But if you'd said to me we'll be discussing Emerson Royale's goal, I probably would have thought it would have come off his backside on a deflection or something, maybe. But he actually got into the box. He followed those instructions and got there first, didn't he? I thought it was an own goal at first, actually, but he actually got there and he scored it. Yeah. It's so, funny, and I think he'll, No,
go for it. Please, Jah, finish off.
He can't be a complete mug. I don't believe you end up signed to Barca if you're a complete mug.
Yeah.
Don't see it, playing in the Spanish league.
I think he felt completely mugged off by the fact he signed for Barcelona and someone whispered in his ear, "You got to go to Tottenham now." Then he probably did feel mugged off.
That might be. It might be that he's needed severe counselling to come to terms with being at Tottenham. It's quite. I know I need severe counselling, acute counselling, being a Tottenham fan over the years. But no, it all looks good. And as Rich said, Sky of course lipping their lips, and let's hope if we end up only a 2-game break. Let's hope it's the same for Arsenal, or there'll be murder.
Oh yeah.
If one of the teams has an extra day even before that game, it will not go down well. And let's face it, I think the South Londoners have got some bad form going back to the days of like the First World War, when we got knocked out of the top league without good reason, and they, took our place. So they've got to be watched. They've got to be watched, I think.
I think the key for me is that it just doesn't fall in that period when we've got Liverpool as well, because I just think generally, if we're playing Liverpool first, the exhaustion that is going to take out of us, the energy Liverpool are as a team where, dominative, they're going to have to run your socks off, and then to have to play Arsenal, a couple of days later, if that's the way it does fall, I really hope that isn't the case. And again, we do know Arsenal have got a couple of games in hand, so listen, Sky have got the power in their hands when it comes to that fixture. But
before we get to that, let's Selhurst Park is rocking tomorrow, and that Palace want to turn them over as much as they love to turn us over.
Absolutely,
you know, because I was at Palace earlier this year for that game, and that place was rocking, and they really severely wanted to turn us over because they hate Tottenham. Fair enough. Okay. What about Arsenal? Are the players gonna be as up for it? Will their supporters be
I
as
think
up
they
for
will
it
be.
tomorrow night?
I think they'll be coming back with vengeance because I remember the game this season. I mean, they bottled it, didn't they? I think Lacazette scored and it was 2-2. I can't remember. I honestly think they'll get something. I really do.
I think the
Selhurst Park is a hard place to go to.
I know many are saying Vieira will probably do him a favour as well. But I mean, listen, we can't forget Palace did take points at home to City. No one expected that. So listen, the only thing that worries me about Palace is, again, they've got an FA Cup semi-final in their mind. You just wonder, again, you don't want their kind of, don't want them to be on the beach as such. We'll see. Again, big game. They'll be up for it, the fans. I hope the players are up for it as much as Palace are. Rich has come around to you because we discussed wing back to wing back. Conte, really, the ideology of him coming to light now for this wing back system. It was Doherty cutting inside on the right foot, deflecting across. It was turned in by Emerson Royale. Royale's first goal for Spurs. We can't give him that one, I think, earlier in the season. It was a massive deflection. I think it was against Brighton. Please forgive me. I think that was the game. Rich, would you expect me to ask you tonight? Matt Doherty assisting Emerson Royale? Was that in the script?
Oh, Docinaldo, you mean?
Oh, no, don't do it.
That's got to be world class, isn't it?
World class. Like I've said previously, Rick, some of these players have had a horrendous stick, from us, and that's the world we live in, and we're all culpable for it. But he's knuckled down, and don't forget, he was playing out of position today. he was a square peg in a round hole. That's not his position. But he's come in. Exactly. Come in, played like he has today, and he's just slowly but surely putting in more and more good performances, solid performances. Not pulling up any trees. Don't think he's gonna come across Liverpool or Madrid or Barcelona's radar, but he's giving you everything, and he's putting a good, solid performance today, put in a great cross. Royale's turned it in. May have not caught it quite true enough, but listen, it's crept in, and you could tell how much it meant to him. And he's turned to the south stand, and he's like, "Come on!" He's absolutely loved it. So there's a lad that's going to be 10 foot tall tonight with that, and again, another overseas player that some come in and they just hit the ground running like Kulusevski has, and others may just need a little bit of time just to adjust, just to just ways of life. Because don't forget, they go into training for a couple of hours every day and play once, twice a week, and then the rest of their time is their own, where they're out doing the same things as us, going down the shops, paying gas bill, doing this, doing that, and he might have got to London and gone, "Oh, that's a bit weird. That's a bit odd. That's not like at home." So that you've got all these things and elements going on in the background where these people, where the human behind the player has got to adjust. Until such time as you feel comfortable somewhere, that could affect your work life. It could be a little bit, well, I don't know if I quite like that, and that creeps into what you're doing on the pitch. But it looks like he's now settled. Probably got himself, somewhere permanent to live, little team of people around him, some friends, found a restaurant in London that's like, a little bit like our mama used to make as such.
Yeah, my boys are at that restaurant tonight. I've been to that restaurant. It's Lucas, it's in Brownsbury Park, Crackers.
That's right.
So I've been there. They do. So that place does big steaks with eggs and rice and chips. Sorry, I'll shut up, but I just had to tell you that. And they're lovely. And they do big desserts. I mean, they are big calories, but I love the gaff.
problem is now, Joel, when there's a bad
sorry. Yeah.
The problem is, Joel, when there's a bad performance now, there'll be a queue outside there letting him know that.
It could be, yeah. Sorry, Rich. I had to say that. I know it's a blinding gaff. It's in Bronsbury Park. Yeah.
Can't we send Brian Hill back down there after pre-seasoning, Rich?
I stuffed they loved me. I stuffed me face down there. It was great. Yeah.
But this is something that's dear to my heart, Rick, because I'm somebody that's gone from living, around the east of London and Essex and everything, and then gone to almost an alien culture living in Spain. And it's somewhere that I thought I knew. And not until I started living now, did it have ketchup? Yeah, no ketchup. Quality.
Just salt and pepper.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No ketchup. Ketchup's banned. But you go somewhere and you go, oh, do you know what? I thought I knew this place, and now I live here. I don't. And it takes you a good while to get the rhythm and the vibe of somewhere where you live in, the culture, the little differences, and it can wrong foot you a little bit, So, but as these overseas players settle, then so it gets reflected in their work life, which just happens to be football. So no, God bless the lad. He's done very well today, and you love to see it.
Yeah, An absolute credit to Jar there for not giving out the address.
No, it's. I can't. I'm Sino. I forget names. It was somewhere Bromsgrove Park or Kilburn Park. It was over there.
That's it,
if you Google Lucas's favourite restaurant, I think he goes in there. That Mora goes in there. He took Emerson Royal in there. They haven't got my photo up yet. Matter of time, though. Anyway,
matter of time. After this Jar, there'll be a
mind you. I'll tell you what, didn't it show you how times have changed? Because Kilburn used to be County Kilburn, and it would probably been somewhere McDoherty would have felt more at home. Yeah, now it's somewhere at Emerson Royal feels at home.
Willesden is Little Brazil now, isn't it?
It is.
That's what they call it. It's Little Brazil. Brilliant. Yeah.
Love it.
Tads has come right on a Tads. Dyer winning back possession. A quick little change in Son and Lucas, who slipped Bergwijn into finish 1-on-1. And, he's had a brilliant international break, Bergwijn. And I feel for him because probably in any other, top 6, 7 team, he'd probably be in the starting lineup. But just such is the form right now, as you said, over Kane, Kulusevski and Son, it's a bench place for Bergwijn. What does the rest of the season hold for him, Sans? He's just got to take the opportunities when he's given them, like these cameos when he comes on?
Bergwijn's such an interesting one for me because under Jose, I just didn't really rate him. I think there's been a lot of times where he's been in good positions to score and he's just made a complete mess of it. But I do think there's been a change in him under Conte. I think he's been a lot more clinical. And to be fair to him, every time he's come on, he's scored. He did it against Leicester. And I think he's got a few goals under his belt this season, which is more than you could ever ask for from Bergwijn. But it's interesting. I think, obviously, Ajax, I don't know if they were interested in him in January. Perhaps maybe he'll go there. But I'd like to keep him. I really would. I think he's got potential. He's still young. And I'd like to see him under Conte. I think, as I said, he's not really put a foot wrong this season because every time he's come on, he's scored. And unfortunately for him, our front three is so settled, it's kind of difficult for him to come in. But I do think now, the fact that we did see the 4-4-2, maybe Conte might start experimenting and hopefully he does because, as I say, I've been impressed. He's had a good international break. And I think, scoring breeds confidence. And I've always said that about Bergwijn. I think, the games where he's missed really big chances, it does knock on your confidence. So the fact that he's finally getting goals in the back of the net, I think he should be playing more, to be honest. I'd like to see it.
Yeah, it's interesting. King Hon on the screen that says Bergwijn's problem is Son. He's been undroppable. And I also have to add to that, Kulusevski, to be fair, since he's come in, as we've said, has hit the ground running. It's so hard, isn't it? And I think that's what you want, though. Like you said, Tans, you want that competition in the squad. And I've got to agree. I also agree with you that I think since Conte's come in, I think he has become more clinical, Bergwijn. And we saw, obviously, Leicester, again today. I think when he's come on, he's always looked dangerous, despite the fact he hasn't featured. I mean, Jar, coming over to you, it felt like that was just the cameo he needed because, again, went away on international duty, played very well. Coming back today, running onto the ball, Lucas dribbling through, was tackled and he finished it brilliantly, to be fair to Bergwijn, so confidently. What does the future hold for him, Jar? Because you feel he's a player that is going to want more than just a bit part role. And he even said, obviously, when asked on international duty, we have to wait and see what happens in the summer. He's not getting regular game time. What do you see happening there?
I like to think he'll stay. I would believe he'd be just as good down the middle as out wide. I think he's good. I think all those goals against Leicester and the one today has come down the middle. He's got real pace. He's got real trickery. I read somewhere that he's seen as, I don't know if it's just nonsense, but the most skillful player at Tottenham, which should probably be saying something. I think he's one of them ones in training. He does stuff that takes people's breath away. Very quick feet, real turn of pace, and he's got a goal in him. Didn't do himself any favours in that first or second season when he missed that goal against Liverpool, didn't he? He missed a couple of chances.
That's the one that I just never forget. Yeah,
it was that was a big, because we were actually top of the league and looking really good. And of course, typical Tottenham, it all went the other way. But I'd like to think he'll stay. I don't know if he will, because would he be, would he get first team football anytime soon? Apart from injuries, who knows? But Kane's only one. We know Kane gets injured, don't we? At some point. Yeah. And right now, God forbid, if that happened, the player most likely to be the number 9 to replace him would actually be Bergwijn, I think.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think. Yeah. Adrian says there on the screen there, JW Wright, Spurs players rate Bergwijn. Rich, coming over to you on Bergwijn. It's interesting. There's a comment here that just came through, because obviously we know next season, Charles on the screen that says next season with 5 subs, players will get rotated more, which means he'll get more game time then. I just wonder, Bergwijn, I've always felt for him, he's wanted to be a first choice player. And I don't know whether there's almost that determination where he's happy to be part of a squad and not in the first team. What vibe do you get from him, Rich? Do you think he'll want to hang around to be part of a squad and not be, a first team player?
Yeah, that's the problem with Bergwijn. He sits in that funny little part of the Venn diagram now, doesn't he? Where he's got to try and dislodge Sonny and come into a system when it changes to 4-4-2. But as we know, Sonny's pretty much undroppable at the moment. So yeah, he play regular well and decide it's not for him. But as we said, God willing, we get that top 4 and there's like a good few more games coming up, then he should get a few more chances. And I do worry, he seems to be the type of player that you'd let go, and then all of a sudden, with another year's development and going somewhere else, he starts to tear it up. And you think to yourself, we've missed a player there. Because there's an exciting player. He came on today and he let a shot go, and he only just missed with it, just over the bar. And you thought to yourself, true. That's what you want to see. That is what you want to see, and we've seen what he can do as well. So it's a bit of a crossroads. It might be something taken out of our hands, Rick, and he does want to go somewhere and get a little bit more regular. Then the club's got to make a decision, or Conte has. Do I give him more minutes, and and who comes out of the side to accommodate that? So almost a little bit maybe not good enough to dislodge who's currently there, but far too good for the bench. He's just one of those that sits in the grey, isn't he? So, but I like him. I really like the kid. He's exciting. He's just got that little something about him, and you think there's a confidence and an arrogance with him as well, and I like to see that. I really do like to see that. So I'm hoping he stays, to be honest, and he's happy to sort of come in and play in certain games, because I think he gives us something. He does really offer something, just that little there's that something you can't quite tell people what he gives you, but he gives you it. It's just that little X factor, isn't there, with him? So it's
can I just say on Bergwijn as well, I think Cracker's alluded to it. if we do get Champions League, I honestly just don't see why we need to weaken the squad. I think he has a place in the side. And also, I do think that he is a talented player. And I don't know, maybe we can experiment with like the fluid front three that Liverpool do and put him centrally, you know? And I also think that, you know, he's growing in confidence. And yeah, I just think there is a place for him in the side, you know? And you have to look at teams like Liverpool, you know, look at the amount of options they've got. You know, we can't. I do think at Spurs, I don't want to keep saying that players like Son and Kane are undroppable. That's the problem that I think we've got at this club. I think we need to have options. I think there can be games where, you know, Son does a 45 minutes and then you bring Bergwijn on, let's say. I don't see why that can't be a scenario. But, of course, I know Son is just unbelievable. But I just do think Bergwijn needs to be given more opportunities as well. I think if he's not given the opportunity, you know, how's he meant to flourish? How's he meant to improve? So I think, like Cracker said, it just depends on the club and it depends on what Conte wants to do. But from what I've heard, Conte's a big fan of Bergwijn. So we'll see what happens.
John, let's come over to you, Jar. I mean,
Rick,
again,
do you know what Bergwijn is, Rick? Just to finish that up, Bergwijn's that Allen key in the toot drawer, isn't he? You know the toot drawer everyone's got in the kitchen with bits and pieces. Bergwijn's that Allen key, and you keep going. I shall throw that away, and you go, no, do you know what? That might come in handy one day. And then all of a sudden, something sort of half falls apart, and you go, see if that Allen key fits. And all of a sudden, you go, oh, thank Christ, I didn't throw that away. Like, you know, he's that Allen key. You don't want to throw him away, but you ain't using him every day either.
I would say it's more likely Lucas will be moved on next year. And the other factor, of course, at the moment, we're just in the league. We've got Champions League football coming up next year.
Yeah, lots to play for.
You're going to need Bergwijn. You know, going to need Bergwijn, really, and there'll be more games to play because we'll be so. You know, I think he's quite likely to still be there. If he does go, he'll be hot property, and with these goals he scored for the Netherlands and these crucial games for us, means he's in the, you know, at least a 25-30 million pound player with add-ons. So that will price him out of most clubs anyway. But there wouldn't be any lack of suitors for him, to be fair, if he was to go. You know, Spain, Italy, here, they'll all be looking for him, you know.
I agree. You know, that's an opportunity. You look at Lucas and Bergwijn. If you're looking to raise cash, there you go. King Hodder waited for an top manager all night. There you go. You've had it here first from Crackers. Right, Constantly, we've still got quite a few players to review. We're an hour and a half in, so I will try and speed it up. Like Adama Traore. I won't say how that one went, of course. It could be coming in the summer to Jason McGovern's disgust. We won't touch upon him just yet. Christian Romero. Listen, I think we all love Christian Romero. Jar, coming over to you. You touched on him earlier. Listen, again, you know, made a crucial challenge on the 22nd minute tonight. Willock from a point-blank range. And he was calmness personified again in another game where he somehow avoided the yellow card. We know, of course, he's got to try and avoid the yellow cards to avoid a suspension, which at the moment, you know, seems to be able to do so, which, you know, he does need to do the same in at least one of the next two games to avoid that suspension. Jar, are you backing in to avoid a booking?
No, I'm not. But you know, I think he's great. Unfortunately, it'd be great if he does because we really need him. I mean, he was so good today because he's aggressive, but he's a calming influence as well. He's so assured. He makes some great clearances. His positioning's excellent. When the few times Newcastle got behind Tottenham and did cutbacks, he was there. To be fair, Dyer was as well. But he's dealing with St. Maximin really, you know, really impressed me because he's a handful. That guy. Yeah. You know, he left Holbier for dead, didn't he? Out on the left flank late on in the game. Left him for dead. You know, he's a dangerous player, but he just thought, well, I'm a top player. I'm going to stand up to you as your spot. I'm not going to start. Going to stand up to you. I'm going to tackle you. I'm going to keep me on the ball, and you're going to know you're being tackled. And I like him. And he still shithouses a bit with people, elbows, and just see him just being a nuisance. By the way, we haven't talked about the bent. Was it Bentancur? I thought he put the nut in. In that scuffle, and I thought this is going to be. I thought it might be a red because it did. It was one of them, not much, but he did pull it in a bit, you know. But yet again, quite angry to see a bit of fire in the. Quite happy to see fire in the bellies. today, you know. And Romero's got plenty of fire in the belly, and he's at it. You know, he's the kind of guy you want on your little bit of a loose cannon, but yet again, no bad thing. It's not terrible, you know. You can just rein that in. You know?
Agree. Tans, come over to you before we come to Crackers. Tans, it surprised you just how quickly he's adapted to the league. You know, this season in general, you know, the way, you know, Paratici, you know, look at some of his signings, you know, across, you know, the Premier League signed so far. I mean, Romero really has quickly shown himself to be one of the best defenders in the league. Jamie Carragher raving about him today as well, saying he's almost become that so quickly over the course of, 6-7 months?
No, absolutely. I'm really surprised. I knew when he came in, he had a high reputation because obviously he was playing for Atalanta, and I think he was one of the top defenders in the Serie A. So I did know the reputation was there. But I have to say, the way he's kind of adjusted to the league, the Premier League's a lot faster. And, you know, he just gets stuck in. He's an Argentinian menace. I just love it. I love the way he reacts. You know, he gets proper fired up. He likes to get tackles in. And you know what I like as well? He's very good on the ball. He likes to get forward as well, which is quite refreshing, you know, to see that. I love Romero. I think he's Rolls Royce, as we like to call him. And I also love the fact that he does improve players around him. He makes Dyer look better.
Agree. Yeah, totally agree, isn't it? Yeah. Spot
in the
on.
back three with Dyer. Them two just don't work. But Romero, he makes Dyer look good because, he's almost a bit of both. He's fiery, but he's also very composed.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have to agree with what Jah was saying. Maximin is a handful. Like, he is a top player. And I think he'll get snapped up for a big club. And he just handled. It's like no one phases him, and that's what I like. He's fearless.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we need players like that in this team. We need characters. And you know, I don't know if he can speak fluent English yet, but I would love him to be captain, honestly, because he's. I think he's only. Is he 23?
23.
He's
so
23. Young, and I just think, wow, he's only going to get better.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Frightening. And I think you touched upon there, coming over to you, Crackers, you know, Tan said there, you know, he has made Dyer look even better. You know, when you think, again, another solid, you know, game for him. And, you know, what I liked about Dyer today, you know, really organising the match as it kind of wore on there, the players. You know, one thing also about Dyer is, I know there's been, and I was really concerned about, you know, trying to alleviate the rickets in his game, those mistakes. And I'll be honest with you, I was really doubtful as to whether Dyer could do that. But listen, so far so good. He really has, I think, under Conte, coming to like almost like a different level of player now. And I think, listen, I think he's given Spurs a job that has been solved in terms of filling in one of those centre-back areas. You maybe still say Spurs need to try in the summer and look at a left-sided centre-back. But how impressed have you been overall, Rich, in terms of their partnership, plus Davis as well as the three?
Yeah, it's really grown, hasn't it, Rick? And the defence is like it's an odd part of the field in respect of your midfielders have a little bit more free range and they do this individually and also come together. And your front two or three, they're a little bit, you know, they're running off and doing things not as a unit, but your defence has to be a unit. They have to step up together. They have to drop together. They're not individuals, are they? Defenses are almost like, you know, three people thinking as one. So, you know, Romero's come in, and what I liked with him today was he still had that aggression, but it was a little bit more controlled today. It was a little bit more mature. You know, he's been fantastic, but there is that little loose cannon edge to him, which, you know, as John said, you do love it, but it needs to be controlled. It needs to be channeled. And, you know, he's walking a bit of a tightrope at the moment, and he's stepped up and he's walked it today, and he's been no less effective than he normally is, you know. But there'll come times when somebody gets in his ear or something blows up, and you know, he's going to take a swipe at someone and maybe get a booking. If he can get past that Brighton game when they drop off, then happy days, because we do need him now. But he assures Dyer and Dyer assures him, and they sort of like, you know, they're growing off of each other, you know, and it's a nice partnership that's forming now. And as strikers, you've got to look at them two and go, don't know if I really fancy it much against these two today, because they're two big old lumps. They really are. And at 23 and to play like that, he really is. It's almost like Dyer and Romero are now turning like into the Dutch boys we had, didn't they? You know,
Yeah,
he's like
yeah.
totally like
hard to find
Alderweireld
at all.
and Vertonghen. You know, you're beginning to see the basis of that type of formation, that type of that togetherness. You know, to go back into the day, they're looking a little bit like Paul Miller and Graham Roberts now. You know, who just like were with each other, and a pair of beasts as well. Like, you know, that could put it about, but could also defend and play a bit. So it's a nice partnership that's forming. So I love it. It's a Rolls Royce to watch. You know, it's very hard to be entertained by defenders. That's just not what they do, you know. But there was a 5-minute spell in the game today in the first half where he made about 3 blocks, and you're like, oh wow, you know, that was there was a little bit of Ledley King in there, and there was a little bit of like the aggression of Vertonghen and Alderweireld and Miller and Roberts, and you go, yeah, that's what it's all about, you know. And it must dishearten strikers as well, you know. As Maxim, he just couldn't get nothing out of him. And you're like, what have I got to do to get past this man today, you know? And you dishearten forwards if you're playing like that. So
do you know he reminds? Do you know he reminds me of a bit, Rich? Not in regards to the aggression, but the position and good on one-on-ones. Gary Mabbott with the one-on-ones and just great positioning.
It just got him.
Oh, I think he's behind.
Yeah,
I think we might have lost Crackers there.
I think he was just able to.
We've got him. Did you hear that, Crackers, from Jah?
Yeah, I did, and just gave a stunning 5-minute answer, and the internet dropped out.
No.
You're right. He is very. He is like Mabs. He's very much like Mabs. You know, Mabs
because they're not the tallest. They're not the tallest centre halves, but he's great with one-on-ones, the blocks and all that. Although I do remember the Mabs block that deflected up into the top corner for the goal against Coventry, but that was just fake. You know.
I must say, you know, it's not us Spurs fans to get carried away here. Simon on the screen, it says, our back three, and like Costa Curta, Baresi, Maldini. Good to see that we're keeping our feet firmly on the ground and not getting carried away at all. And Charles actually shared a really nice moment that I will read out, that full-time whistle. We saw the 4 guys, you know, that defence. Well, Lloris, I think we saw Ben Davis, Christian Romero, and also Eric Dyer. Massive hug around from all the guys. Lovely to see. And it just shows you what it means. You know, it just shows you that they care, shows they want to fight, and that's what we want to see. Contract time, guys. We're going to try and wrap it up in the next 10 for the sake of these guys. We've been absolutely brilliant entertainment tonight. There's been, I think, we're nearly 800, 900 of you watching us live tonight. So thank you so much for all your incredible support. Right, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Let's go round to Tans on this. Tans heading over in that first half, but really battled away. And it's funny because with regards to Højbjerg, you know, there's been a lot of talk in terms of, you know, his form. And I think over the last 6 to 7 weeks, there's no doubt about it, since we've put Bentancur next to him, just how much more improved he's looked, Højbjerg. And, you know, after the game, Conte actually singled him out and he said he's doing a fantastic job with without the ball. And he went on to say every player is improving. But have you been really impressed by the way Højbjerg has come back into this team? Because there was almost a question, I would say, again, a couple of months ago, wondering, has Højbjerg actually done it? What do you think?
No, I agree with you. And I was actually going to say, I think it's since Bentancur's come in, I think them two just work. They get the best out of each other. And I think Højbjerg, he wasn't playing so well because he had Winks next to him. I just think them two together doesn't work, right? And I think Højbjerg, sometimes he's a bit of a headless chicken at times. I think he has been that this season. But yeah, I've been really impressed with him. I think we're seeing the Højbjerg of last season, you know, where he came straight into the team, made an instant impact. It was the kind of signing that we needed. He's really looking confident at the minute. But, you know, I think that is credit to Bentancur. I just love him. I do hope we get a chance to speak about him because I love watching him. And I just think them two at the minute, they've got a good partnership, and it will be interesting, you know, when Skip is fit. I don't know where he's gone. He's gone MIA. But when he's fit, you know, what will happen with him? Is he going to come straight back in and partner with Højbjerg, or do you just not fix something that's not broken? And I think you don't really.
It's interesting, you know, Taz. We'll bring you up. Let's bring in Bentancur now, and we'll go to John, and we're going to go to Rich as well. For you, you've mentioned him already, just how important Bentancur is. You know, today, really, again, picked up a yellow card in that first half scuffle, which I know John referred to. But again, overall, you know, so composed, got another 75 minutes under his belt where, listen, I don't want to get too carried away, but, you know, it just really looks like a top Premier League player. He's only been here since January. We're talking 2 or 3 months.
I know, and the Spurs in me doesn't want to get carried away because it always bites you in the arse, doesn't it? But I just think he's been a great addition, him and Kulusevski. But I said it earlier, I just think he just brings a calmness, and it's not like he does anything incredible, but he just does the simple things really good. Yeah. And that's what we did, you know, and he is a great passer of the ball. I think he's had a couple of assists, you know, he's looked really, really good, and he's got a flair about him. I've liked him, to be honest. It's rare that we sign a player and straight away you can see there's a player in there. And I thought that about him. Yeah. Straight away, his first game, I was like, yeah, he's a player. He's a proper player. And I just think it's good business, you know, from Paratici. Very niche signings. I don't think they're too expensive either. You know, people were saying they were Juventus rejects. So I think we've done pretty well.
We'd like a few more of them if they were. We'd like a few
more.
More
if they were. Please bring us more of them, because I just think they've been really good and gone under the radar, you know. Yeah. I think, as I say, he's done a job. He's made a massive impact. And I'm all for players coming in and making other players around us better. And I think that's what he's done. So, yeah, absolutely love him. May he continue. I don't think he could be dropped at the moment, to be honest.
Lots of agreement for you, Tans, in the comments. John, let's come around to you as well, because, you know, you picked on it earlier. You know, there was that concern with, obviously, that alleged headbutt that we weren't too sure was going to do the next 45. But listen, thankfully...
I personally think putting the nut in has its place in football. I always have and I always will.
I think that would have been harsh if it was
as long as they don't get sending off, right, John?
Well, everyone gets so dramatic, darling, about these things, but it's just a bit of blood and guts and a headbutt. It's not the end of the bloody world, you know, but whatever. But I will say with this boy, what an elegant footballer.
Oh, yeah.
Lovely posture, you know, he really straight back, really elegant player. And watch him when the ball's not... checking over his shoulder, the fella is non-stop. He checks the angles more than a Tesla motor car does. Do you know what I mean? He's just checking everywhere all the time.
That's a rival for Crackers up one, I tell you. Tesla motor car.
No, Cracker's the king of the... Cracker's the analogy king. I can't come near him for class with the analogy. That's about as brave as I'll get.
Oh, we've got Alan Key, we've got the Tesla motor car. It's all kicking off here tonight.
Yeah. But a very, very elegant player and just very clever. Knows when to keep it simple. What's the hardest ball in football? The simple ball. And he plays lots of simple balls, keeps it moving. And he's a guy, great overall vision, controls the tempo of the game. So he's remarkable. The real world-class player, as we all know at Tottenham, is Davis. So Bobby Moore combined with a great... I'm joking. No, he's... Bentancur's everyone's getting worried there. Like, what's he going on about now? Which I often say to myself. But no, Bentancur really, really surprised me, because I thought maybe it'd be a bit second tier. He looks absolute class. Very elegant is the word. I like elegant footballers. Glenn Hoddle, people like that, you know.
Yeah. It's funny, Rich, coming over to you. You know, comment on the screen from Kieran says Bentancur is 2 years younger than Winks. Can you believe that? I mean, for a player that, as we've said, with regards to Bentancur, just how quickly he's hit the ground running. Listen, you've been on the Last Word on Spurs many times since, obviously, he's joined the club. Now you've been raving about him. Have you been surprised just how quickly he has transitioned himself into becoming, I think, I don't want to go over the top. I don't go over the top. I'm just going to be honest. I think he has become one of the best midfielders very early on. Do you agree?
Yeah, he has. He really has hit the ground running, and that's exactly what you got to do in the Premier League. You know, you do have to hit the ground running, and like John said, he's very elegant. He looks lovely. He's got a nice posture. You know, he's a joy to watch. He's built like a footballer, isn't he? But more than that, he's switched on for 95 minutes, Rick. Like, you know, that makes a hell of a difference. If you've got majority of your players, because let's be honest, most goals that you concede come from when a player switches off, or, you know, doesn't just have that moment, and it only has to be that moment, and wallop, you know, you've conceded a goal. But as John said, he's over his shoulder all the time. He's looking, he's playing chess. He's 2-3 moves ahead, and all the time switched on. There's been very, very few lapses with him, and I think that's what the difference is between good players and excellent players. Is those moments of no lapses. A bit like Eric Dyer. I mean, how many brain farts did he used to have? And you go, oh, he's switched off again. but he's learned to switch on, and a lot of them now are just that switched on, thinking about the game the whole time. You know, there's no off switch with them at the moment, or no dips. And that's the difference. That really can. It's those tiny little finite differences. But, you know, and as a team, we're doing that as well, because, look, we've been going nearly 2 hours now on this show. We ain't even mentioned Harry Kane yet. And apparently we're the Harry Kane team. And we've not even really spoken about him. So, you know, if you've come away with a 5-1 win today, you know, you come away, you've won the game, not even mentioned Kane. It's just, so there you go. That we've got ourselves what looks like a bit of a team effort. Absolutely. With everybody switched on, no mention of Kane. So brilliant.
Yeah, well, I promise you we're going to bring on to him next, for the sake of the show, before people do say there's an agenda, and we're not talking about Harry Kane. But before we do, I mean, Kulusevski very quickly, you know, busy down the right. He picked out Son for Spurs' third to add another assist to his collection. That made it 5 assists since he joined in the Premier League, more than any other player in the competition since that moment. He also had a hand in Tottenham's 4th goal, created 4 chances as well, in as many as Newcastle players in total. So again, Kulusevski, just a shame there's been so many great performances tonight, of just not enough time to talk about him, because Kulusevski, to be fair, as we've said, has hit the ground running like Bentancur. Really, really, you know, superb since he's got going. And again, as we touched upon earlier, when you think of just how gutted many of us were that we missed out on Diaz, Kulusevski's just been unreal. And again, fingers crossed that continues. He's got a very, very important finish between now and the end of the season. I mean, Lucas Moura, to be fair as well, I mean, he came off the bench with some driving runs, played his part in Steven Bergwijn's goal. But Harry Kane, I think it's right to end on Harry Kane, because I've got to say, although he earned that yellow card for a tactical foul early on, grabbed that assist, of course, for Doherty at the back post early in the second half. He then turned creator again, setting up Kulusevski away down the right for Son's goal, setting up another for Son, a big chance as well that he missed. But overall, Kane did get man of the match. Tans, there's been so many lovely comments pouring in for you tonight. It's been a wonderful debut.
Oh, so lovely.
Been lovely to have you on. You've been superb. Thoughts on Harry Kane's, Tans?
Oh, gosh, I run out of words for Harry Kane. I really do. It's so hard to describe how much I just feel blessed to have him at our club for another season. I mean, I was gutted to know he was going to go to City. You know, you never want to lose a player like Harry Kane. He just makes everything tick for us, you know. Yep. We are Harry Kane, essentially. We are the Harry Kane show. And I will keep saying it. I think he is world class. People can say, oh, he's not won anything. Oh, he's not turned up in the big games. Well, I think that's rubbish. I think no one's turned up in the big games, in the finals. You know, at the end of the day, he doesn't even have to score, and he just still has an impact on the game. He didn't score today. That was the only thing that was missing. But he's just all-round play. He's just unbelievable. I just think he's the complete number 9, you know, great passer of the ball. I mean, you only have to look at last season under Jose, top on the assists. You know, he's got the golden boot. And again, you know, he's having a poor season. And I think he's up there with one of the top goal scorers. So, yeah, I absolutely, as I say, I run out of words to describe Harry Kane. I just think we're very lucky to have him. And as I always say, I think we just need to hang on to him. And I think Conte will be a big factor in whether he stays. I think if Conte stays and we do get that top 4, I mean, there's talk of him going United. I think he should stay at Spurs if we get top 4, because Man United is just World War III at the minute.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Spurs are a club, they keep hold of Conte and they back him. There's only one club between Spurs and United that are going in some form of direction, and United look in disarray at the moment, to be fair. They've got so many problems at that club, barring just appointing a new manager. I mean, as we know, there's Rashford's future to sort out. I mean, Pogba, you know, Ronaldo, there's just so many problems there. But at Spurs, you feel, keeping hold of Conte and backing him, there's a real importance that you feel with Kane. He can be Spurs' focal point, and please God, he gets that new contract. Jar, to come round to you, contested after the game. When the game had finished, I went onto the pitch to my players and I said to Harry, I was disappointed in only one thing, that he didn't score, because he played an amazing game. He's a world-class striker and he deserves the best, an amazing worker. And this is not normal. Often the best players don't work so hard. Listen, Conte said we love him, and he loves him as well. Jar, do you have any concerns about keeping hold of Harry Kane?
I would have been more concerned, like I was at the start of the season. Obviously, what was going on. I think now Levy, for all his faults, and there are many, has made it clear he's not going to let him go easy. The days of Berbatov and Carrick are gone, where we just, all right then, we'll let him go. That's gone.
Yeah.
And I think Conte's in a position where he looks to me like he's really got control of the club now. And that I think he knows Levy has to go along with it now. Because as Rich said earlier, where'd you go? You've now gone down the route of the superstar manager. If you then go and you get another guy in who's like a project manager, you're talking about another half a decade transition period. Really? I think we'll end up with a half-empty stadium, and they still need a successful football club for all the NFL, all the boxing matches, etc., pop concerts. You need to have a successful Tottenham Hotspur Football Club there as well. So I'm not so bothered. My feeling is, and it's just my feeling, and I'm a bit manic, is Tottenham will go on to dominate European football for the next decade. With Conte there.
Goodness, I was not expecting that.
I tell you what, and I know Jar's been on the wire when that's come out because I've never heard him so positive.
And I'm a Tottenham pessimist. I'm very much the glass is extremely half empty. But that's my feeling today. I've reserved the right to change my mind on it entirely, but that's how I feel right now.
In 6 days' time, he reserves the right to change his mind. Cracks has come out
about 7:10 or whatever it is that when Villa have beaten us 2-0 next week.
Absolutely right there. Absolutely right, says Peter there. And then Richard said he's madder than Lee. I tell you, Lee's on his international break, enjoying his international break. And listen, we love Lee McQueen. There's so many lovely comments in here tonight. Rich, to conclude it with you on Harry Kane, we know obviously that barrier we've just spoke about earlier between world class and class. There's no doubt Kane, again, a real class performance from Harry Kane. Which is it just a case now of giving Conte the tools in addition to Kane now, so we do keep on this summer and progress as a football club?
Rick, when I said to when Conte came and we done that show when he came in, I think my opening gambit was now everybody at the club has to step up to Conte's level.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you feel Kane's at that level. Kane gets Conte, Conte gets Kane, and you both feel that they're two players that or a manager and a player that demand that. That they demand it of themselves and they demand it of everyone around them. So, and Conte, you can see, is lifting those players up, trying to get them to the tops of their levels. Now it comes down to the club. So Daniel Levy now has to go. Well, I can't go anywhere else. This is my man. If Conte stays, Kane stays, and you just build the club around them. And you just slowly but surely bring everybody up to those levels. And, I've been a fierce critic of Enoch and Levy. But if they do that, then happy days. That's all you want, is just bring it all up to that top class level. And then everything else falls into place afterwards. Because, as I said to you, the amount I've given Levy stick, I've given Enoch stick. But in the last few weeks, we've begun to see that, maybe some of these super owners might not be so super anymore, mightn't they? With everything that's gone on at Chelsea, and everything, there's spotlights being shone on Man City, and maybe what some of the regime now that's looking after them, same as Newcastle as well. So you could end up with some of these clubs, if the spotlight gets shone on them like it has at Chelsea. And, things politically outside of football go differently, they could also be gone. But with Enoch, listen, they're making money for the club, but in an ethical way or a not so unethical way as others have, Nobody becomes a billionaire by being completely ethical. But there's levels to that, isn't it? As we've seen with what's going on. So, we moan about them, but you know what? They might not be as terrible as we've kind of painted them, when all of a sudden you see what else is done in other clubs. So get the football back on focus. We've done the stadium, we're building this, we're building that. Bring the football back as the focus. Back Conte, Kane stays, and then let's see where we go from there. But it could be some good days back if everybody steps up and reaches those levels.
Amen. Final question, guys, I want to ask to close the show, just around the table. Will Tottenham finish in the top four? This is the point where you come on here, you give that verdict, and you are automatically left to forever hold your peace when people remind you about this with 9 games to go. Crackers, I stick with you. Will Spurs finish in the top 4, Cracks?
You have to believe you can, Rick. I don't know. It's unanswerable. You don't know because, like, we could all of a sudden get a couple of horrible injuries in the right or wrong part of the field, and we're done. But then, like, we was all looking at Chelsea going, well, they've got 3rd, so it's only 4th. They got dicked 4-1 yesterday at home by Brentford. I mean, it's bonkers. Now, like, the wheels might well come off for them, and then all of a sudden 3rd and 4th is up for grabs.
Yep.
So you've got to believe you can, like, because you had the show a little while ago and it was saying, well, you can sort of write Liverpool off away. Don't write that off.
No.
Why write that off? Go there and go. You imagine if we go there and win that and then beat Arsenal a few days later. It's doable. If Brentford can go Chelsea, we can go Liverpool. So you've got to believe. You have to believe. Until you can't, you can. It's as simple as that. So I'm saying we can do it. Will we do it? I don't know, but we can do it. It's as simple as that. It's all you can. That's all you can ask for.
What a great politician's answer there from Rich. Managed to get himself out of answering the question and then gave us a bit of a motivation to close it. Tans has come around to you.
I hand over to my right honourable gentleman to my right
here. Tans, will Spurs finish in the top 4?
Oh, God, I feel like I'm going to do a similar thing because I'm just so scared. I think, look, compared to a couple of games ago where we just weren't in great form, I think I would have said no. But I'm looking at the table now. I'm looking at our fixtures. I do think, as Cracker said, we've got a very, very good chance, Rick. That's what I'm going to say. We've got a very, very good chance. The fixtures, as I say, we've got the easier fixtures compared to Arsenal.
Yeah.
I think, do you know what? That North London derby for me, I'll know then if we're going to get top 4. Because as Cracker said, it is so difficult. But you have to say we're in good form, so why not?
Yeah. No, fair. John, are you going to give me a straight answer?
Oh, yeah, I will, yeah. I think, first of all, I don't think it will go to the wire and we'll comfortably make top 4.
Wow.
Obviously, injuries are a factor, but that's how I'm feeling tonight. Yeah. I'm feeling very quietly confident.
I've never heard Jar speak so confident on Spurs. I got to get this Jar back every week.
Let me tell you one thing, Rick. Yeah, Conte won't be saying to them players, "Oh, let's see if we can make top 4."
Exactly.
He'll be saying to them, "You boys can get 3rd. You will get 3rd. You go for 3rd."
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because second, 1st and 2nd's a little bit out of reach now. So you've got to have an element of realism. He'll be telling them boys 3rd, go and get 3rd place. And that's a winner.
And he'll be looking at the video at a 2nd or 3rd time already of the whole game right now, I bet.
Yeah, you're right.
And thinking what he needs to do to beat Villa next week.
Well, John, what a crazy stat this is to win this. Since Conte's arrived at Spurs, only Man City and Liverpool on 50 have got more points than us, 39. Wow. You have to remember also, as Jimmy says, with the team that Spurs started with. So
I said it's league winning. It's league winning form. It's not top 4 form at the moment. It's league winning. It's too late to win the league now. It's league winning form. That's not a point of view. That's a fact. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
No, you're right, but it goes back to what Tan said. Should have got him at the bloody start. Could have won.
I know. Why didn't we?
Could have won the thing. Right. Well, listen, guys. It's been brilliant to have you on. Wonderful performance. Wonderful panel. So much love for you all. Let's ask what's happening. John? Anything on the diary you want to tell us about, John? Anything in the diary?
Yeah, there's going to be a retrial, and I'm hopeful. I've played. Got a little gig on at a gaff called the Royal Albert Hall Tuesday. Yeah, so we're Psychedelic Furs. We done London last night. We smashed it last night. Big credit. It was mega. So it's been a perfect weekend. So my one match at a time is how to con the audience at the Royal Albert Hall that we're good. That I'm good. But no, we've got to do that. Royal Albert Hall, but I'm slightly more excited about the Villa R5 next Saturday, to be quite honest. You know.
Do you know what I love you bringing these top class musicians on here. They're more involved to seeing Spurs play than what they're doing. It's unbelievable. Jar's top class. I love it. Jar, it's been lovely. The love for you's been out there. It's been amazing. Thank you so much for all your time. It's been brilliant having you on Last Word on Spurs. We'll try and see if we can get you back on before the end of the season when you have to maybe hold us to this prediction now of Spurs definitely finishing the top 4 and maybe even top 3. Where's this show taking us? Rich, coming over to you. Lovely to have you back on. You had the pleasure of interviewing, obviously, God, as in Hod, only a couple of nights ago. What else is in the diary, Rich? You want to let us know about? What's in the diary?
I've got Michael Dawson coming up in Gloucester, and there's Carlton Cole down in Gloucester as well. Glenn Hoddle at Stevenage again. I've seen more of Chris Waddle than my wife in the last month, so I think I'm actually married. I think I'm now Richard Waddle, to be honest.
That could be a good or bad thing, depending on how you get on with your wife. But Sue's lovely.
Oh man, but no, yeah. I had a stunning night a couple of weeks ago with Harry Redknapp down at Tyrrell's Wood Golf Club that Echo 61 put on. So I do need to say a big thank you to Will and Louise that came along and supported the night. Listen, we raised 10 grand on that night for the Justin Edinburgh Foundation. That's amazing. 10 defibrillators on walls in venues, like, you know, that are saving lives. So, so well done to them. They're listeners of the show, Louise and Will, by the way. So,
thank you so much.
So, listen, have a look at Mr. Cracknell, and I'll put all the dates up there. So, but yeah, it's good. I'm having fun. So, they're great nights. Everyone comes along, enjoys them, gets to meet, like, you know, heroes from yesterday. And, it's all good, Rick. So, thank you.
Amazing, superb. And listen, ladies, taking a lot of love tonight. We've got the brilliant Tanya Leona who came on to make her debut. Tan, lovely having you on.
Well done, Tanya. Well done, Tanya.
Thank you so much. I know, honestly. Thank you so much for the lovely comments.
Oh,
and
listen,
it's been a
lots
pleasure.
Of love.
To be on
Tans,
the
just
show.
a warning, when you next come on, it might not be as easy as this. Not everyone gets to start with a 5-1 win.
I know.
As Jar and Rich will remind you. Tans, where can we find you across social media? Let us know where we can find you.
Yeah, no, you can find me on Twitter. That's my @ there, Tanya_Leona. I'm also going to plug, I have a podcast as well.
Please do.
3 of my boys. Yeah, we discuss all the Premier League fixtures. It's actually called We'll Talk About That Later. I always end up saying it and people are like, oh, but I'm like, that's the name of the podcast. So, yeah, we drop episodes every Wednesday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And, yeah, just follow us on Twitter. But, yeah, Crackers, Jar, it's so lovely to speak to you both. And, yeah, it's been a really good show.
Yeah, amazing. Lots of love for you, Tans. Well, listen, we are back with you later in the week with a preview for Aston Villa. Probably be a bouncing preview the way this show has gone. But from Tans, from Jar, from Cracks, from myself, guys, keep safe, keep well. And as always, come on, you Spurs.